Ah, man. Why us? Why always us? Honestly, not really even surprised for the most part. I mean, you kind of get used to it. Hell, this is what we've had happen to us for the most part. I mean, it is what it is. You already know Ravens flock ain't gonna be happy about this. Oh, there we go. Right. I guess I can add this. Nah, it's okay. Alright. It should be fun. Alright. Man. Ain't nobody trying to deal with this today. Yet here we are. Whenever it comes to the Ravens, there's always a problem. One way or another. All right, Ravens flock. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. Happy Thursday to everybody, if you're actually enjoying your Thursday. Well, minus what we're dealing with right now. As a sports fan, you're not enjoying your... Well, as a Ravens fan, you're not enjoying your day, but just life in general, hopefully you're enjoying your day. Here we are. Here we are. I don't know what to say, guys. Just like I said in my video, I'm speechless. I really don't know what to say. Like, here we are. On Monday, we were told he was going to be out for a couple weeks. And here we are 3 days later, and all of a sudden he's gone from being out for the next couple weeks to being out for the rest of the season. That's a very, very big shift. I was not prepared for something like that. So that the news kind of hit me differently, but overall, I'm not really surprised. I've gotten used to this for the most part. This is just what happens with the Ravens. This is just what happens. You get used to it. It is what it is. So, yeah, everyone knows Rashod Bateman is done for the season. He will have foot surgery, so he's going to be out. And that leaves you with your number one receiver gone. I don't think anybody was expecting this to be the case, but here we are. A lot of Ravens flock right now is just losing their mind. By the way, I'm going to say this right now. I'm making this live stream here right now to talk about the Ravens, but also I'm doing this because there is no way in hell I'm sitting here and doing Thursday Night Football. It's the Eagles and the Texans. I'm not sitting here to watch a blowout for 3 hours. So instead of doing that, let me just talk about the Ravens here and then go about my day. I'll still watch Thursday Night Football, probably make a recap, but I'm not commentating over that game. 3 hours of that? No. Philly's going to destroy them. So, yeah, I'm not finna sit here and deal with that. But, yeah, Ravens. Why do we have to deal with this? Why do we have to deal with this? I just... It's frustrating. It's just like it always seems to happen to some of these key positions. And now your number one receiver is just gone. Your number one receiver is just gone. And now you're sitting here and you're like, well, you got to rely on whatever's left. So Devin Duvernay automatically becomes your number one receiver, even though he's not. Devin Duvernay's not a number one receiver. It's clear as day. I'm sorry to say he's not a number one receiver. What he is a playmaker. He is a hell of a playmaker. He's a key playmaker, but he's not a number one receiver. You can use him in the pass game, in the run game, and the return game. He is a bona fide playmaker, and that's exactly the reason why they drafted him. So he's living up to the potential. He's a playmaker. He's not a number one receiver. He's a playmaker because he's utilized everywhere. He's a playmaker. But now he has to take that role as your number one receiver, and you just have to follow suit. The other receivers we have on the roster, well, you got a 36-year-old Deshaun Jackson, so he may play on Monday night. So you got a 36-year-old Deshaun Jackson. You went out and signed Andy Isabella to the squad, so he's here. You still have Demarcus Robinson. You still have James Prochet. You still have Tylan Wallace. You've got guys, I guess. You got players on the roster that are taking up spots. You might as well use them. Ah, man. So, with Rashod Bateman gone, people are looking around and saying, what are the Ravens going to do? And obviously, the first person that everyone seems to be bringing up is the Ravens need to go out and sign Odell. Guys, why do y'all keep doing this to yourselves? Why would Odell want to come here? Can somebody give me a legitimate reason as to why he would choose this place when he can also try to go to Buffalo or try to go to Kansas City? Why would he come to the Ravens over going to those two teams? Like, why would he? I would like a legitimate explanation. What, because the Ravens are seen as a contender? So are the Bills and Chiefs. And hell, they are actually more, those two teams are more of a passing offense than we are. Much more. Dude, all the Bills do is throw the football. Josh Allen has one of the strongest, if not the strongest arms in football. And all they do is throw the ball 50 times. So why not go to a contending team where I know I'm going to get the football? If he goes to Buffalo, he could arguably get 10 to 12 targets. He comes to Baltimore, he's getting 3 to 5 targets. Why would he do that? You can go to a different contender and actually be able to produce. He comes to Baltimore, he's getting the ball like 5 times. If even that amount. Why would he come here again? Y'all keep saying go out and get Odell. Okay, why would Odell want to come here though? Because we have Lamar Jackson? That's not enough to really bring somebody to come over there, especially knowing that the production is going to be low. That man is looking for a long-term contract. Why would he come to Baltimore for that, knowing we don't sign receivers to long-term contracts? So I don't get this whole thing, go out and get Odell. You know it works both ways. Why would Odell go here? Now, again, if Kansas City and Buffalo say no thank you, then he'll probably look somewhere else. I think he has a better chance going back to the Giants and actually coming to Baltimore. I'm being honest. I'm legitimately being honest. If Kansas City and Buffalo say no, which, again, I don't know why they would say no. If he pulled up on KC's door right now and said, I want to play for y'all, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are going to be like, sure, you want to play in this offense? Sure, you know. We already have Juju here and Valdez-Scantling. We would like to add another veteran here, you know. If Buffalo if he went to Buffalo right now and knocked on their door and say, I want to play with Josh Allen, would they say no? You would now have a receiving unit that is Diggs, Davis, and Odell. Why wouldn't Buffalo want that? Why wouldn't Odell want to go there? Why would he come to Baltimore? So he can be the bona fide receiver and get like 5 to 7 targets. If he's the number one receiver here, he'd get 5 to 7 targets. But he's still not going to get the targets he wants. I just don't understand why people think it's going to happen here. Like, stop wasting your time with the whole Odell talk. It's not going to happen. Stop wasting your time. Stop wasting your efforts. Okay, it's a two-way street. Why would Odell choose here over Buffalo and Kansas City? If Buffalo and Kansas City said no, then he might choose here. But even then, probably still won't. He'd probably go back to the Giants before he comes here. So this idea that they can just go out and get Odell, as if you would want to come here if the opportunity to go to Kansas City or Buffalo is on the table. Like, where are you getting this? Why do you keep setting yourselves up? Okay, Odell's not coming here. Odell is not coming here unless there's literally no other option. And even then, he might consider not going here. If there's any option anywhere, he will probably take it before going to Baltimore to play in this offense. It ain't finna happen. He will go anywhere before playing in Baltimore's offense because they don't value the receiving position. They don't care about the receiving position. If you're a wide receiver, why would you want to play in Baltimore's system in which they don't care about the wide receivers? Our number one receiver was seen as Rashod Bateman. He wasn't even getting the ball like that. Why would Odell looking at the outside is going to see that and said, yeah, I want to come here. Now, Deshaun Jackson's different. Deshaun Jackson's 36. He knows he's not going to get the ball 7-8 times a game. He just needs 2. And one of those could potentially be a deep bomb for a touchdown. So he could fit in here. He's at the end of his career. Honestly, people thought he would have retired at this point. So, come on. But with Odell's trying to get a long-term contract, a multi-year deal. Why would he come to Baltimore? That's not going to help him. He goes to Buffalo or Kansas City. That could help him. Let me look at some of these comments here. I know some of y'all feeling disappointed. Just frustrated by the things that are happening here. Ravens are just getting more and more down bad. What else is new? Why do this to ourselves? Just want to move on. Next man up. This sucks. What else is new? That's all we have left. Next man up. That's just the mentality Baltimore has to have. I'm sure that's going to help them in the playoffs. Next man up. I'm sure that's really going to show up. I can't wait. Legitimately, with everybody that's been backing up the receiving core, I don't want to hear any excuses. If the receiving core does not show up in the playoffs, I don't want to hear any excuses. Don't give me Lamar could have done this. No. If the receivers don't show up, I don't want to hear excuses. Y'all been backing them up all season saying Baltimore don't need any more receivers. If the guys we have right now do not show up, don't give me any excuses. Okay? Y'all wanted this. This team can be pure comedy. Yeah, they can at times. Who's my favorite NBA player currently? Jimmy Butler. Just run the damn ball for now. That's all they're going to do. And they're perfectly fine with that because that's the Baltimore way. Should have gotten the receiver during the trade deadline. They were never going to do that, Marcus. Bro, I'm telling you right now, Rashod Bateman and Devin Duvernay could have went down. They still wouldn't have traded for a receiver because that's the Raven way. That's just how it works here. Odell's not coming. I agree. Odell ain't coming here. Why would he come here? We got to get Odell and Will Fuller. I'm pretty sure Will Fuller retired from football. That man retired. So why? He's not coming out of retirement to play for Baltimore. That man announced his retirement. And Odell's not coming here. Just throw to our 6 tight ends. Bro, at that point, why not? Damn, I wanted Bateman to succeed this year, but people overreacting. Bateman has done nothing since week 2. If we keep developing our guys, I think we'll be fine. I'm so sick and tired of hearing we'll be fine. You're trying to contend and you're over here talking about we'll be fine. We'll be fine. It's not going to get you to the damn Super Bowl. Stop being content. You can never have too much talent. Go look at the Miami Dolphins. They are all in. You can never have too much talent. If you're trying to compete for a title, you want to get as much talent as possible because with the game on the line, those special players can make those plays. Just sitting there saying, oh, I think if we keep developing our guys, I think we'll be fine. Aren't we supposed to be contending? Why are you talking about developing your receivers if you're supposed to be contending? Now, if you don't believe the Ravens are contending for a title, that's a completely different thing. But they believe they're contending for a title. Lamar's not trying to bet on himself right now without, contending for a title. The man is betting on himself this year, and you don't think he believes they're contending for a title? You don't think the Ravens believe they're contending for a title? They just want to do this crap because that's just the Ravens' way. So don't give me this, as long as our receivers keep developing, we'll be fine. Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll continue to develop and we'll win football games, but we're not winning a damn Super Bowl like that. Why are y'all so content with just settling for things? If we keep developing our guy, you're trying to develop receivers and compete for a title at the same time. You can't have it both ways. How can you sit there and say we're gonna be fine as long as we continue to develop our receivers, and at the same time the team's trying to compete for a title? You cannot develop your receivers and at the same time compete for a title. That's not how that works. Whether or not we believe they're a contender, they believe they're a contender. They're actually trying to contend. How can you sit back and say as long as we develop the receivers, we'll be fine? You can't. It's one or the other. You're either developing your young guys or you're competing for a title. You can't do both at the same time. The entire receiving core is filled with young guys or old people past their prime. Or you have a guy in the middle like DeMarcus Robinson, who's a productive receiver, who's not old, but he's a productive receiver. The Ravens aren't a real Super Bowl contending team like the Steelers. That's fine. Many of us said we don't believe they're a contending team. However, they believe they're a contending team. So giving the excuse and saying that as long as we keep developing our guys, it'll be fine. That's not how that works. You cannot sit here and develop your receivers and at the same time try to compete for a title. That is not how that works. That is not how that works. Now, whether or not we believe they're a contender, they believe they're a contender. And if you hear how everyone's talking about the facility, all the players and coaches, they believe they're a contender. So what is this talk about waiting and developing our receivers? Aren't you trying to contend? You can't do two things at once. You can't try to contend and then try to develop the players at the same time. That's not how that works. If you're trying to win a Super Bowl, go all in. We're in that next era where people are going all in. Do you see what the Dolphins are doing? They are going all in. They are trying to compete for a title now. If Baltimore believes they're competing for a title, you have to be all in. If they want to sit back and develop, I don't care. It is what it is. If the team's focused about developing for the future, that's cool. It is what it is. But if you believe you're contending, why the hell would you sit back and settle? Why would you settle? So no, I'm not going to listen to this whole, as long as our guys develop, we'll be fine. Odell will go to the 49ers or Buffalo. I would assume Buffalo for the most part. I don't think the 49ers probably wouldn't be a great spot for him to go because, again, they're definitely going to get him the ball, but he's not going to be getting the targets. They'll utilize him much better than Baltimore ever would, but it wouldn't be the key place for him to go if he's trying to look for a long-term contract and prove himself. Having Jimmy Garoppolo throw him the football is probably not what he's looking for, so it's most likely Buffalo. Put likely at wide receiver. At some point, they're just going to play him like he's a receiver. Imagine if Brandon Cooks gets cut. Only a Raven fan can dream. Even if he gets cut, the Ravens ain't signing him. But he's not going to the Niners. Oh, boy. Green Bay is a good fit for him, too. Him going to play with Aaron... Bro, A-Rod... I ain't even gonna lie. Green Bay's probably the only team right now, maybe one of two or three, but I would probably say the main team right now whose receiving situation is worse than ours. And I'm not exactly sure how Aaron Rodgers is holding up right now. He's lashed out a couple times by calling out these receivers. And Green Bay did nothing. I mean, they did nothing by the trade deadline. I have no idea how Aaron Rodgers feels right now because he's in a worse receiving position than pretty much everybody. He might have the worst wide receiving room in the league right now. I'm dead serious. Who does he really have to throw to? Even the guy he had in Cobb is injured right now. So, who is he throwing the football to? They went into Thursday Night Football with, two of their receivers gone, and then they lost the third one. Who the hell is he throwing the football to, man? A-Rod is in hell. Oh, my God. Will Fuller is retired. He's not coming to play for us. I could see him going to the Dolphins before us. Dolphins are all in. I could definitely see that happening. Hoping we can start including our other receivers. They ain't got a choice. Unless they're going to play 4 tight ends out there, they ain't got a choice. People won't like what I say, but we have talent at the receiving position. Everybody has talent at the receiving position. Doesn't mean they have the it factor to make those plays in key situations. You're trying to win a freaking Super Bowl. Go back and look at some of the moments. You got to have that guy. Are you sure you got that guy? They can be productive, but guess what? You got defenses out there that can shut our receiving core down. You don't have that guy that puts the fear in defenses. You don't have that guy that can take the top off the secondary. You don't. You don't have that guy. None of our receivers scare every defense in the league, every secondary in the National Football League. There's not a single secondary that's afraid of our receiving core. So yeah, they can be productive and they have talent. But guess what? It's the NFL. Everybody has talent. You got to have some level of talent to make it to this level. We have talent at the receiving position. It's not developed, but if developed correctly, they could be good for us. Bro, when is the last time the Ravens have actually done a great job developing their receiving core? When is the last time that's happened? So I understand the if, but the if could be applied anywhere. This team is terrible at drafting and developing receivers. So I appreciate the optimism, but the team has never really done that. How many receivers have they drafted over the last 5 years? Now, of those receivers they drafted over the last 5 years, how many of them are on the team? At some point, do we just look at the talent? Do we look at the guys that they're drafting, or are we looking at development, or is it both? I don't know. But everybody's got talent. It's the freaking NFL. Of course you have talent. And if developed right, the problem is it hasn't been developing right. It hasn't been developing right at all. That's been the main issue. They can't draft receivers, and when they do get talented guys, they fail to develop them. So what are we talking about here? Oh, man. Get Brandon Marshall, T.O., Randy Moss, and just get Brandon Marshall, T.O., and Randy Moss. Shoot, if they want to come out of retirement and play a couple games, I'll take it. That's exactly what they'll do. It's all good. We got D-Jack, Isabella, and Victor. Oh, yeah, we're going to win games like that, man. We got this. We're going to win the playoffs like that, man. We got this. Super Bowl contending. We're heading to the Super Bowl with this receiving core. Woo! So while Lamar is a Steeler, yeah, he'd never go to Pittsburgh. If there's anywhere I'd see him going, is Miami. Why wouldn't you want to go back to South Beach? Especially with those weapons. Why does Prochet get no snaps? Because he is a body, not a guy. They don't value the receiving position, and they don't seem to really care much about Prochet. I'm tired of this dumb 3 tight end, 1 wide receiver set that we keep running. They don't care about receivers. Dirk, they do not care about receivers. They've never emphasized the receiving position. They don't value it the way we want them to value it, and it's not going to change. They won 2 Super Bowls with that philosophy, so they're going to stick with it because they believe that's the way. Even though times have changed since they won those 2 rings, they're still going to stick with that philosophy. Do you think this will impact the Ravens' playoff chances? No, they're still going to make the playoffs. I mean, they're in a prime situation. As long as that defense can stay healthy, which is the key, and Lamar Jackson's still the quarterback of the goddamn team, they're going to be fine. That's just how it is. So, yeah, nothing's going to change. Their playoff chances are still fine. But past that, shoot. At this point, Lamar Jackson will have to play hero ball if he wants himself and his team to make the Super Bowl. He can play hero ball all he wants. At some point, that ain't going to work because Lamar Jackson playing hero ball, trying to go up against the Bills defense, ain't going to be pretty. And them trying to play hero ball and out playing Patrick Mahomes when Patrick Mahomes has the advantage in weapons ain't going to work. You have guys in this class. I don't care how talented and how great Lamar Jackson is. Josh Allen's on the other side with weapons, and Patrick Mahomes is on the other side with weapons. At some point, you're not going to go that far, bro. It ain't going to happen. You can't play like this play hero ball against the Bills for 4 quarters and think it's going to work. It's not. We tried it this year and it failed. We tried it for years now and it's failed. Oh, man. It is what it is. Man, this defense better turn into the 2006 Ravens. That's not happening. That's not happening. All contenders are going in except for us. I don't understand. This is the Ravens way, Brandon. This is the Ravens way. This is just what we do. Why go all in? Why? Why would you try to invest? Why would you use those draft picks to try and get receivers? Why? Why would you do that? It's the Ravens way. Just run the football, play defense. We got it. It's the Ravens way. Oh, yeah, we got this, man. Totally got this. Rodgers should come to Pittsburgh. I mean, if he ain't leaving Green Bay. He ain't leaving Green Bay. And if he is definitely not going to Pittsburgh. Yeah, did you hear that Michael Thomas is also out for the season? I heard that. It was back-to-back. While I'm sitting here getting ready to make my video for the Rashod Bateman, I look up a notification saying something happened. I think his shoulder was dislocated. He's out for the season. I'm like, what? Michael Thomas just got back. He was gone for like 2 years, and he's out again? That is a huge blow, man. I don't know. Michael Thomas's career is just starting to go down because of these injuries, man, and it's unfortunate for him. I just don't know what to say, man. I feel for him. I really feel for him. Best of luck in the recovery process, but man, it's tough. It's really tough, man. It's really tough. It's really tough. The Ravens are not concerned with winning a Super Bowl. They build a competitive team to be in contention every year to keep assets and to keep people in seats, which helps the business. I wouldn't doubt that. I legitimately would not doubt that. This is just how the Ravens have been over the last couple years. I promise you, Ravens won't even use Wallace or Prochet. Bro, they got Deshaun Jackson. We don't need to use them. Let me tell you, Mark Andrews is going to be there. So they're going to keep feeding him the ball. Isaiah Likely is a tight end, and he just got utilized. They're going to feed him the ball. Collard is back. He may get some looks. And then after that, you got Deshaun Jackson. They'll give him some looks. You got Devin Duvernay. They'll definitely give him some looks. You got DeMarcus Robinson, who did well last week. He'll get some looks. The chances of seeing Tylan Wallace or James Prochet be utilized, I don't think it got raised up because Rashod Bateman got hurt. I think it's the same level it was last week and the weeks beforehand. Ain't nothing changing with their production. Ain't doing nothing. It's unfortunate for them. Oh, man. It is what it is. Only thing I say is get Odell. They're not getting Odell, bro. They're not getting Odell. They're not getting Odell. Do you think the Ravens should tank for Bryce Young and trade Lamar? They're not going to do. First of all, that's just stupid. That's just stupid. That's just stupid. That's just stupid. Stop telling teams to just tank to go get. It doesn't mean you're guaranteed to get that, bro. It's just stupid to do that. It's just stupid. Like teams that are actually trying to at this point, you're just stop. You've got 5 wins on the season. It's too late to tank. You see the other teams that are losing, you're not gonna catch them. That's 1. 2, they're not gonna do that. And saying trade. Oh God, some of these questions, I don't even know what y'all on. What do y'all be on before I start off? Y'all just come up with these wild things. Y'all just sit home and come up with weird questions that you know is not gonna happen. Like, come on, bro. That's just like, what? I don't even. My head trying to come. Oh God. Bills versus Eagles Super Bowl. I called it. I wouldn't be surprised. The Eagles, for the most part, as long as they stay healthy. I do have some concerns with the Eagles, but as long as they stay healthy, I think they're going to be relatively fine. But it is about staying healthy. And that's the number one thing. I do hope they at least lose one game, because I always fear for teams that just don't. If you don't have a lot of, I don't want you to have like multiple losses, but a loss or two can definitely help, because if there's some weaknesses on the team, which every football team has weaknesses, you can take that time to address it. And losing a game or two or slipping for a week or two is a great thing to help get everyone back engaged. Because I don't want you to go into the playoffs undefeated, because it makes you think that you're invincible and nothing can go wrong. And we've seen in the past that's worked against a lot of teams. Hell, going into the playoffs with one loss has not fared well for a lot of teams in terms of winning the championship. So, I like what the Philly's doing as long as Philly stays healthy. I think Philly right now controls the NFC. As long as they can stay healthy, they're going to be fine. But I still think they're going to lose a couple games. I can see them losing 2 or 3 games, but they'll still get the number 1 seed in the NFC, and I think it's going to be fine for them. I have no problem with them. I think they're built from top to bottom. I look at the Eagles and the Bills. They're the 2 most well-built teams from top to bottom. So I do hope they get a couple losses. Like with the Bills, losing some of those games definitely has helped out for them in terms of looking at some problems or some issues they had. That's why they went and got a running back. Go look at the Dolphins game. All they did was throw the football. The weakness in the running game is there, and they had to address that. With Philly, there are some weaknesses there, which they've definitely improved on, but it's hard to really address those weaknesses when you don't lose games, because you start to just think, oh, well, we're invincible. We're not going to lose any games. We're perfectly fine. I legitimately saw this with the 2019 Ravens too. I've seen it with the 2019 Ravens. I remember way back in 2011, I saw this with the 2011 Packers. There were weaknesses there that weren't really discussed because, well, they were 15-1. So, no one really looked at that and say, hey, they're 15-1. They'll be perfectly fine. There are always weaknesses to a team, and I feel like a couple losses can help. You don't want to lose too much, but a loss or two here can definitely benefit you in the long run, because you can see the weaknesses you have, address those, and you'll be a much stronger football team. Not to mention, when you lose a game or two, it can really help re-engage you back into the main focus. So I think Philly's going to lose a couple games this year, but they're still going to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. So, I think that would benefit them. Going 17-0 would be awesome for the record-wise, but history has not really favored teams that have gone undefeated or headed to the playoffs with one loss. It hasn't really favored them like that. So going 17-0 would definitely be great for the record, but I don't know if that would be the best thing for them, especially because we've seen over the last couple of years, the teams that are just going undefeated early on, it hasn't worked out for them. Didn't work out for the Cardinals, didn't work out for the 11-0 Steelers. So at some point, I feel like a couple losses will benefit them, but Philly is such a well-built team that honestly, I think even if they get those couple losses, they'll still get the number 1 seed in the NFC. They'll still be relatively fine, and as long as they stay healthy, I think they can go on a run, because I'm looking at every other team in the NFC. I'm not exactly sure if there's a team that could specifically stop them. However, there are some concerns sometimes that you have with teams that are straight up just undefeated, because some of those weaknesses that are there, it's somewhat worrying. It's somewhat worrying, and we've seen it throughout history that it can be a bit of a concern. Davon, how you doing, bro? Appreciate you stopping by. The 1972 Dolphins were undefeated and won the Super Bowl. They're the only team in the history of this game to pull that off. No one else has repeated that. And by the way, with that one, back then it was 14 games they played in the season. Not 16 or 17 like we're playing right now. But still, that was an impressive feat for them as well. But the only team in history to actually pull that off. Everybody else that's tried that, it's found a way to fail. The biggest example was the 07 Patriots, who to this day, I don't know how they lost that Super Bowl. I still wonder how the hell that happened. So, history has not favored teams that have gone into the playoffs like that. I don't know why. In fact, look at the last couple of years. When's the last time you've seen the number 1 seed actually go on to win the Super Bowl? Like, legitimately. I think the last time you saw that, and here's the fun part, the last time you saw the number 1 seed, let me think about it. I think the last time you saw the number 1 seed go on to win the Super Bowl was the 2017 Eagles. Because 2018, the Patriots were not the number 1 seed. Were they? The 2018 Patriots, were they the number 1 seed? Because 2019 was Baltimore, they lost. 2020 was Kansas City, they lost. And 2021, the Rams weren't it. So I don't know. Were the 2018 Patriots the number 1 seed in the AFC? Because if they were, then that means it's the 2018 Patriots. But the last time I remember, it was the 2017 Eagles. They were the number 1 seed with Carson Wentz. And then he got hurt. Nick Foles came in and they went and won a Super Bowl title. So if the 2018 Patriots weren't first, yeah, that's 2016. That's 2016. 2017, the Eagles were the number 1 seed. They went all the way and won the title. I'm talking about the 2018 Patriots. Were the 2018 Patriots the number 1 seed? I'm not fully sure. Someone check that. Because if it wasn't for the 2018 Patriots, then I would say the 2017 would be the 2017. 2018 was the Chiefs. There it is, Kansas City. Yep. So that means the last team. That's what makes this interesting. The last number 1 seeded team to win the Super Bowl was the 2017 Eagles. So 5 years later, could they pull it off again? It'd be interesting to see. But over the last several years, the number 1 seeded team hasn't been in a good position. Last year, we saw both number 1 seeds get knocked out in the divisional round. Both number 1 seeds got knocked out in the divisional round. The Packers and the Titans, back-to-back days, we saw that happen. So, it hasn't really fared well for number 1 seeds over the last couple years. But, the last team to win it was the 2017 Eagles. So, they're in prime position 5 years later. Let's see if they can pull it off. But I would like to see Eagles at least lose 1 or 2 games so they can really assess some of the weaknesses, which can really help improve those aspects, as well as help re-engage them. But yeah, I like what I'm seeing from Philly. I think they're the strongest team in the NFC and the most well-built team in the NFC. I like what I'm seeing from the Eagles. Hopefully they can build on that. If they continue to build on that, it'll be awesome. If you can choose between Roquan Smith and Marcus Peters, who would you extend? Well, I think it depends. We have to see how Roquan Smith works out. I would have to answer that question at the end of the season. I would have to legitimately answer that question at the end of the season because, we bought Ngakoue. We bought Yannick Ngakoue here in 2020, and it didn't exactly work out the way we wanted it to. So let's see. I think Roquan Smith's going to work out here, but I have to see how it goes. Baltimore is going to be very confusing over the next couple months involving who they're going to extend, who they're giving a contract. Because now you got 2 guys who are looking for a long-term contract in your quarterback and this new guy you brought in, this linebacker, and both of them represent themselves. So this is going to be real fun to see. Real fun to see. But yeah, Bills, Eagles, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills and the Eagles are in the Super Bowl, but we'll see how that holds up. Trade Lamar, that ain't gonna happen. Not gonna lie, all I ever want is a James Prochet touchdown. Honestly, don't know if we're gonna get that this year. We lost Michael Thomas for the year. You lost Bateman. Yeah, that report came out back to back. It's crazy, legit crazy. The Ravens are too cheap to call OBJ, even though they should. They could call him, but why would OBJ want to come here? If you're Odell, why would you want to come here? Someone needs to give me a legitimate reason why he would want to come to play with the Ravens, where he could potentially go to the Chiefs or the Bills. Why would he come here? Legitimately, why would he come here when he could go play for one of those 2 teams? So, it goes both ways. You could call Odell, but that don't mean he's going to have to agree. You can call him as many times as you want. Doesn't mean he's guaranteed to come here or he'll choose to come here, especially if he has a chance to go to the Bills or the Chiefs. Time to test the depth of this roster. Oh, trust me, they'll have no choice but to test it. We'll see how that works. Rest Mandrews Monday night. It's the Saints. No knock to them. Whether they want or not, they're going to play. Rest them, don't rest them. We'll see what happens. Eagles whack. They haven't played anybody. Only beat the Cowboys by 9. See, you play who's in front of you, man. You just play who's in front of you. That's just how it is, bro. You play who's in front of you. I never want to do that. Oh, they haven't played it. Bro, you play who's in front of you. You don't have a choice in the schedule. You play who's in front of you. They're beating the people in front of them. I don't know what else to tell you. They're beating the people in front of them. If it comes back to bite them in the playoffs, so be it. But you play your schedule. You play who's in front of you. I'm not gonna knock the Eagles because they're undefeated against teams that probably aren't the strongest in the league. You play who's in front of you. The Eagles didn't make the schedule. They're playing who's in front of them, and they're winning the games. So I'm not going to take that away from them. In 2019, go look at some of the guys we faced. Now, granted, we did face a good chunk of contending teams. We did. A good chunk of playoff teams, in fact. But, there were a good couple of guys that were just like easy wins that you can look at. You just play who's in front of you. You play who's in front of you. You can't control the schedule. But yeah, that question involving Marcus Peters and Roquan Smith, I have to see what happens down the stretch here. Ravens organization straight up lied to fans for weeks. JK and now Bate. Well, see, with both of them, they wanted to play. Both of them, they wanted to play. You can't blame. JK wanted to play. He was the one pushing to play. So I'm not going to hold the Ravens accountable when he was pushing to play. And Rashod Bateman said he felt good enough to go in that Thursday night game. So I'm not going to hold the organization accountable for players wanting to play. If it doesn't work out in their fashion, what are we supposed to do? Even if they held them out, what if the injury still happens in the following week? Even though they held them out, anything could happen. That's just how it is. Do you think? Oh, I'm not even. What type of question is that? What type of question is that? No, the last number one seed to win the bowl was the 2019 Chiefs. You know what? Actually, you're right. You're right. No, they're not. No. 2019, the Ravens were the number one seed, Justin. The Ravens were the number one seed. The 2019 Chiefs were the number two seed. Remember, Baltimore was 14-2. They were the number one seed. They choked against the Titans in the divisional round, and the Chiefs went on to complete 3 double-digit comebacks and get to the Super Bowl. Well, they completed 3 double-digit comebacks and won the Super Bowl. My mistake. But no, 2019 was the Ravens. The last number one seeded team to win the Super Bowl was the 2017 Eagles. Because 2018, the Chiefs were the number one seed. They lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. 2019, the Chiefs got there. The Ravens were the number one seed. They lost in the divisional round. So, no, it'd be 2017. The NFC does not compare against the NFC. Not this year. The NFC has actually been stronger record-wise compared to what the AFC has been. The AFC North has been a dumpster fire. The only team that's looked, you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, they were starting to turn the corner, but now they lost their best player in Jamar Chase. We'll see how that goes. The Ravens have been in the conversation. They've led in every single game, but the Ravens seem like a contending team that can't figure out how to contend, right? Because they're choking games. Then you look at the AFC South. The Titans are the only one that looks that looks at least somewhat manageable, that looks decent there. Then you look at the AFC West. That's been on dumpster fire because the Chargers are still the Chargers. They're losing games despite the fact that they have that talent. Now, granted, they're dealing with injuries, but Chargers have been disappointing. The Broncos have been a massive disappointment. The Raiders look just as bad. The AFC East is, in fact, the one division that's surprising everybody because every team in the AFC East is over 500. Or actually not even over 500. What are the Patriots? They're 500 or above. The AFC East is the best division in the conference right now. They have the best record. They're the only division in the AFC with a record over 500. The NFC has been more productive this year than the AFC, at least through 8 games. We'll see if that changes. We have a long season ahead. Now, granted, if you're looking at the amount of quarterback play or quarterback power, then yeah, the AFC probably has the better overall amount of strength in quarterbacks. But in terms of teams, The Ravens still believe we could win with a lackluster wide receiving core. That's their mindset. They won 2 rings without having a strong receiving core, so they think they can still do that now. We'll see how far that takes them. But, I'm not going to be sitting here saying a lot. I'm going to be watching the World Series tonight, Eagles, Texas. Isn't it Game 5 of the World Series? Aren't the Phillies and Astros tied? They're tied 2-2, right? So I believe it's Game 5 tonight for the World Series. We'll see how that goes. Still, I'm pretty sure the Phillies are going to win this series. I picked the Phillies to win the World Series, so we'll see. Well, I didn't originally pick them, but once we got the matchups for the World Series, I said the Phillies are going to take this one. Yeah, I got the Phillies winning that World Series. I think they're going to win tonight, and they're going to win Game 6. That's how I think. But we'll see what happens. Texans are going to slaughter the Eagles tonight. That's just not happening. That's just not happening. That would be hilarious, but I don't see how that's going to happen. I really think we could sign Sidney Jones. Doubt it. This forces Lamar to get everyone involved to spread the ball around and take what the defense gives you. Lamar needs to take advantage of this opportunity and prove why he needs to be guaranteed. I mean, Lamar has no problem spreading the ball around, but we have an offense that doesn't utilize our receivers. How often do you see us call wide receiver screens? How often do you see quick throws actually here? How often do you see checkdowns here? There's been moments where there's been checkdowns that Lamar has chosen to ignore, but we don't run that a lot. We utilize our tight ends. We don't utilize our receivers for much of this. So it's not like Lamar wasn't trying to spread the ball around. He was. But there are times where we're just not putting our receivers in the right position to get the football. And maybe you could sit back and say, it's not even just Lamar, it's just the offense. Mark Andrews is so beastly that they're perfectly fine with just going to him. When you take Mark Andrews out of the equation, you don't have a specific guy to go to. So the plays that they were originally running to get Mark Andrews open, those get thrown out the window. Now you got to find a way to get the ball in the hands of these other receivers. So it's there. But it's not like it was just a Lamar thing. Lamar was trying to get everyone involved, but there's only so much you can do when the scheme and the play calling isn't really garnered towards that. So it is what it is. But yeah, now the Ravens are going to be forced to get those guys involved, so I assume Lamar is going to definitely feed them the ball. He's been talking about getting these other guys involved for weeks. But it took Mark Andrews and Rashod Bateman going down for them to be like, all right, Lamar, now let's try to get them involved. Like, how does that work? How does that work? Blame this on the EDC being cheap on wide receivers. It's not really EDC being cheap on wide receivers. It's more about the philosophy of Baltimore, because even Ozzie was like this. They don't value the receiving position. It's not even just DaCosta. We legitimately were talking about this when Ozzie was still here. They don't value the receiving position. They have never valued the receiving position. They still don't value it today, and I doubt they're going to value the receiving position in the near future. So it's not even just DaCosta being cheap. This has always been the case for Baltimore. Hell, when Flacco was still here, we would still talk about that. Like, bro, get Flacco some weapons. We would still talk about that. And they didn't. The best they got for him was Steve Smith Sr., who was pretty much 1 foot into retirement already. Do you think the Ravens front office is cheap? I mean, it's cheap when it comes to the receiving core, but they're not cheap when it comes to defensive players. You know, they more so manage their money differently. They're biased towards one side of the football, and they're not necessarily, really prominent on the other side of the football, unless it pertains to the run game. So the offensive line they can invest in. The running back situation they can invest in. The tight end position they can invest in. Though they don't have to do that now that they have Mark Andrews. But the receiving position, they do not invest in their receiving core because they don't emphasize their receiving core, because they don't really utilize their receiving core. So why would they do something they don't even really focus on? Why would they bring in a guy knowing that they don't focus on the receiving core? They don't emphasize the receiving core. They don't really utilize the receiving core. Why bring in another receiver if you know he's probably not going to get utilized? Better yet, why pay him $18 million if he's not even going to be utilized that much in the offense? They're not stupid. They know what they're doing. It's not about being cheap. They perfectly understand that they don't care about the receiving core, so they're not going to pay a guy $18 million to just go sit there and block for 60% of the time. That's stupid. They're not dumb. They clearly understand. They're stubborn and they're prideful, so they're going to stick to their ways. They don't care if the fans want them to bring in receivers. They're prideful and they're going to stick with what works for them. They got 2 rings with this philosophy. They think it can still work in this era. We'll see if they prove us wrong. A lot of us believe it won't work, but they still think it will. So we'll see how far it takes them. How funny is it that the Eagles and Texans are playing tonight and the Phillies and Astros? Yeah, that's very unique. So tonight's literally just, it's weird, bro. It's Philly versus Houston tonight. It's just Philly versus Houston. That is very weird. It's unlikely that happens, but that's very weird. It's very interesting. There were a few wide receiver screens to D-Rob and Duvernay in the Bucs game. Yeah, they actually pulled that out because they had no choice. There was no Andrews. There was no Bateman. Now you got to start utilizing your receivers. So you got to start running plays you weren't willing to run beforehand. So you had no choice but to do that. 7 tight ends on the roster is by design. Yep. Because they actually utilize their tight ends. They don't utilize their receivers. They know what they're doing. I'm tired of people being like, man, they're really dumb. They don't know how to get everything. No, they know what they're doing. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They clearly know what they're doing. They don't emphasize the receiving core. So why would they invest in the receiving core? They're not stupid. They're not going to give a receiver $18 million to go and block for 60% of the time. They're not dumb. This is how they want to play football. This is how they want to run this team. This is how they choose to run the offense. It is what it is. I want to see us win a Super Bowl with this scheme to shut up fans who want receivers. It's football. You can win more than one way. Hope they prove y'all wrong. We lose in 19 because we abandoned the run. 20, bro, you're not winning with this style of play. You're not winning. First of all, you're not going to win with Greg Roman as your offensive coordinator. That's number one. Two, you're not going to win with this style of play. It's not going to happen. You can hope to see it. I hope they prove us wrong. You don't think every Ravens fan hopes they get proven wrong? But it hasn't worked out. It's been unsuccessful time and time again. Just because you want to see them win this way to prove it wrong doesn't mean it's going to happen. We're in a different era of football. They're still running this organization like it's 2010. We're in a different era of football. You can hope and pray for a lot of things. Don't mean it's going to happen. I want to see the Ravens win a Super Bowl too. But this style of play that they keep trying to force, this let's do it our way, we're going to zig when everyone else is zag, it hasn't worked. And it continues to not work. Just because you want it to happen doesn't mean it's going to happen. How many times do you have to literally go back to the post? Marlon Humphrey made that cryptic tweet, the definition of insanity. How many times are you going to continue to see the Ravens do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result? So you can hope whatever you want. Chances are it's not going to happen. I hope to God it happens. I want to see this team win a Super Bowl. But having a mentality and playing football like it's the 2010s where you could just dominate by running the football and having good defense, that don't work in a pass-eccentric league. It's not going to work. It's not. They're playing football like it's 2010. It is 2022, buddy. This is a different time. It's not going to work like that. It's not. You're not winning a title like that. The team that's been the closest, the very closest to trying to get it done like that was the 49ers, and they still lost. I don't know, bro. We beat playoff teams with this scheme. We beat playoff teams. What beat playoff teams with this scheme? Yes, in the past. We have won two. Actually, with this scheme, with Greg Roman's scheme, we've won one playoff game with this scheme, bro. One playoff scheme. One playoff scheme. Well, one playoff game with this scheme. We've beaten playoff teams with this scheme. Yeah, in the regular season. How has that worked out in the playoffs? Because guess what? In the playoffs, they take away what you do best. My mistake. I don't know why I said we beat playoff game. No. We've beaten playoff teams in the regular season with this. In 2019. What playoff team have we beaten this? Let's actually look at the 5 wins. Because I'm pretty sure you've beaten the playoff team. Let's see. The Jets can... Jesus, what the heck was that? What the heck was that? I was definitely spit. Y'all got me out here wilding. Let's see, you beat the Jets. I guess the Jets could be considered a playoff team. I guess, because they are in the playoff game, and they're in the playoff race right now. So that was a win. Let's see. You beat the Browns. I don't know if the Browns could be considered a playoff team. You beat the Bengals. I guess the Bengals could be considered a playoff team. They're not in the playoff race right now. They're actually out of it. So I guess that's your 3rd win right there. You beat the Bucks. Bucks are technically a playoff team. They're in the playoff race, but they haven't looked great. So that's your 4th one. And then who else did we beat? Because we beat the Browns, Bengals, Jets, Bucks. We beat one more team that I'm trying to think of right now. Patriots. Yeah, Patriots. I guess the Patriots are technically a playoff team. NFL fans are funny. They take away your strengths. It's football. It's a game. Nothing changes in playoffs as much as y'all want to. Nothing changes. Really. So the same style of football they're playing in the regular season is the same way. They don't take away what you do best. You're serious. They don't take away what you do best in the playoffs. Are you serious? So they don't take away what you do best. Really. They don't emphasize, okay, a team runs the football great. They don't spend that week trying to take that away. Especially if they have the personnel. They don't spend that week taking it away. So the exact same way we play in the regular season is the exact same way they play in the playoffs. Really. They don't work on taking away your strengths. So basically the regular season is basically like the playoffs, what you're saying. The playoffs, literally in the playoffs. Even Hall of Famers have said this, bro. Even Hall of Famers have said in the playoffs, they take away your strength. Freaking Shannon Sharp has said this. The 3-time champion Hall of Famer said in the playoffs, they take away your strength. A man that has been in so many playoff games. They work to take away what you do best. which is why you have to be able to make adjustments. You don't play one style of football. You're saying there's many different ways to win a football game, right? Why are there many different ways to win a football game? Because if you stick with the same way you win a football game and they try to take that away, you have to make adjustments. If you run the football well and they stop the run, you got to beat them with a pass. There are many ways to win a football game. Doesn't that mean there are teams that are taking away what you do best? Every team has a certain aspect that they excel in. They have a certain aspect of their game that is the best. Teams try to take that away, especially in the playoffs. When they have the time to zone in on you and say, we have all this time to put in the film and look at you directly. They take away what you do best. They look to take away that. Now, whether or not they're successful in that, that's a different conversation. But they're clearly looking to take away what you do best. Doesn't mean they're always successful, but that's what the playoffs are. You're looking to take away what another team does best. Hall of Famers have said this all the time, but you're just assuming that that's not the case? So if stacking the box is our weakness in the playoffs, why don't teams do it in the regular season? Teams just magically don't do it because it's the playoffs. Teams are, first of all, there's a difference between regular season and the playoffs. Secondly, teams have stacked the box against us. Did you not see last year? Did you not see this point this year? The Dolphins tried to stack the box against us, and we were effective. Teams have attempted to do this. What do you mean? We literally saw the Dolphins do that, and Lamar picked them apart. And it didn't. And then they tried to switch over to playing zone, and all of a sudden we couldn't score. We literally saw the Dolphins stack the box and play cover zero. Teams have attempted to do this against us. Hell, in 2020, they attempted to do that against us. Last year, once they saw what the Dolphins did, they attempted to do that against us every single week. Our weakness is they stack the box to take away the run, and they try to force us to make passes down the field. Teams have done that. Did you not see last year? When we kept talking about, man, why is this offensive line blocking? Why aren't we making any quick throws here? Why do we keep getting beat by cover zero? They took away the strength. We couldn't really run the ball as effectively as we wanted to, partly because we didn't have the personnel, but also we just weren't getting anything open because they kept stacking the box. They did do that. What do you mean they didn't do that? You got to go back and look at the film to see the teams that did that. They did that last year. They did that this year. The Dolphins literally tried that, and Lamar picked them apart. Teams don't just they don't magically do it. They scheme for it, and they'll attempt to do it in the regular season. You think they just magically, not to mention they have that on the personnel. And when you're in the playoffs, you have more time to really sit back and analyze your opponent's strengths and weaknesses by assessing what they've done throughout the season. But yeah, they've definitely attempted to do that. Where do you get this idea that they didn't attempt to do that? Go back and look at the film. They've definitely attempted to stack the box. They've definitely tried that. Every week they talk about you got to take away the run from Baltimore. They've definitely attempted to do that. The Bills still attempted to do that too. Come on, man. What do you mean they didn't attempt to do it? Yeah, they don't magically do that because, they do attempt to do it in the regular season. I agree. They don't magically do it because it's the playoffs. They attempt to do it in the regular season and see what works. What works, what doesn't work. Then if you do somehow run into them in the playoffs again, especially if you're in the same conference or in the same division, the same things that worked last time, you look to do it. Come on, man. It's everybody knows this. In the playoffs, teams are looking to take away what you do best, which is why you have to make adjustments. You just said there's more than one way to win a football game. Why is there more than one way to win a football game? Because there's going to be times where what you do best is not going to work, and you have to find another way to win a game. You don't win the football game playing the same type of football every single week, assuming no one's going to try to take that away. Come on, man. Last two Super Bowl champs didn't have 300-yard passes in those Super Bowls. Brady threw 201 yards, and they beat Mahomes 31-9. And Stafford threw what? Let me look at this again. Okay, last two Super Bowl champs didn't have a 300-yard passer in those Super Bowls. Okay, yeah, Brady threw 201 yards, and they beat Mahomes 31-9, and Stafford threw 285. Is that what? Okay, so you're talking about the last 2 years, there wasn't a 300-yard passer within each one of those. Okay, you are correct. What point are you trying? Can I explain that? Well, in the Bucs game, The Bucks game, the defense was hella effective against Patrick Mahomes, and they were getting them off the field. There was a lot of short yard situations for the Bucks because they were forcing the Chiefs to go 3-and-out, so they were getting great field position. And then Leonard Fournette was running the ball well, so they were more balanced. That's actually a big problem that the Bucks have right now. They can't run the football. With Fournette, they were able to run the football, so they were much more of a balanced team. So you're getting short fields because your defense is getting Mahomes out of here quickly, and you're running the ball effectively as well as passing it. That's a nice balance. That's a nice mix. So yeah, that was there. And then the Stafford game, yeah, both defenses was showing up in that game and making stops. It was a close contested game between the two. I'm not sure if Burrow had 300 yards either, but it was a close contested game. So, I mean, again, that was another situation where it was mostly a defensive game through each side. So, I'm not exactly sure what point you were trying to make there. We had 4 guys on that line last year that don't even start in the NFL. No more bad faith argument. I'm not fully sure I don't know if that's directly a comment towards me or somebody else in the chat. I'm not fully sure what you mean by that point of the I'm not sure, bro. I'm not sure. Because I'm like, what specifically are you trying to point out here? I might need a little bit of a clarification on that one. What else was I trying to see here? Chargers, Tennessee, Packers, Giants, Jaguars, Rams have worse core than us. I would not say that. The Chargers, the only reason their wide receiving core is bad right now is because their 2 guys are injured. But when they're healthy, they have a better receiving core. Tennessee, probably just as bad as us. You can make an argument, especially since they traded A.J. Brown. Packers, I would agree with that one. I think the Packers are just as bad, if not worse. In fact, I can make an argument they're worse. Giants, it's an argument there. Probably just as bad as us. Jaguars, you're making some points here. Rams? That's a tough one to say. I can't say Rams. I can't say Rams there. There are a couple teams I can say that are just as bad, if not worse than us, so I can somewhat agree with that. The defense is going to be top 5, but in the playoffs, the offense is going to score 6 points. Hey, I hope they prove us wrong. I mean, for all the people that are standing up and defending these guys, I hope they really prove you wrong because I don't want to hear excuses if they fail to show up again. Don't give me they failed to execute. No one wants to hear that crap. You failed to execute. Yeah, you're what, the number 2 or number 4th ranked offense, but you failed to show up in a playoff game. Good job. So at that point, who do I look at? Do I look at coaching? Do I look at the players? Are the personnel not good enough? I think my Tennessee Titans are the Baltimore Ravens of last year. Too many injuries for the second year in a row. Well, Baltimore's injuries aren't as bad as last year. Both the Tennessee Titans and the Ravens were severely injured last year, so both of us suffered major injuries. But this year, compared to last year, no, this year we haven't suffered a lot of season-ending injuries. In fact, it's been a lot more tamer. Now, we've suffered a bunch of injuries, but most of them haven't been severe, so I think you're in a better place now than what we were last season. Who's my dream coach for the Ravens? In terms of head coach, that's a good question. You would love to have an offensive-minded guy, too. I think that's definitely it. So I could definitely, like a Shanahan. I wouldn't mind a Sean McVay. Obviously, an Andy Reid you would want. A couple of those guys, an offensive guy that knows what they're doing, especially in the passing game. We've talked about this. If Shanahan had Lamar Jackson, that's a different conversation, man. So I wouldn't mind guys like that. I want an offensive-minded coach that knows what they're doing in the pass game. Because the running game, this franchise knows how to run the football better than most teams ever will. So I'm never worried about the running game. It's just the passing game has always been somewhat of a concern. Even when Flacco was here, because Flacco was just checking the ball down. People got tired of it. We couldn't get anything going downfield because Flacco was checking the ball down, and the passing game wasn't at its strongest. It wasn't at its strongest until we got Gary Kubiak for a year. And, Jim Caldwell did well during the Super Bowl year. Oh, She Talks Football says, Ravens in the Super Bowl until they're not. We are still going to watch and cheer. Yeah, we are definitely going to, and she's absolutely right. Bateman and his agent knew after Thursday that they was going to have season-ending surgery. They waited until after deadline to announce so the Ravens couldn't move. I don't know if that's the case. We could speculate, but I'm not fully sure that's the case. But yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. I wouldn't say that's the case for the most part. I call BS on that. Look at my Titans in the playoffs. Everyone takes Henry. Yeah, they look to take away. In the playoffs, teams are looking to take away what best works for you. It doesn't mean you're going to be successful in doing it, because planning and execution are two different things. You plan. The teams are looking to take away what you do best. Doesn't mean they're going to be successful. When we faced off against the Tennessee Titans in the 2019 playoffs, we were looking to take away what worked best for the Titans, running the football. We were looking to take away Derrick Henry. Didn't mean we did so because we got crushed. Us choking versus the Bills, Giants, Dolphins isn't a win for them. We beat ourselves due to lack of good play calling, miscommunication, bad execution. We beat ourselves, not the others. Yeah, problem is we've been doing that for years now, and it's been consistent. Do you know how many times this team has lost games due to poor play calling, lack of communication, terrible execution? It's happened time and time again. It's become consistent. We've lost a lot of games by beating ourselves. So, you're absolutely right, Moses, but this has been a consistent thing, which is why people believe there has to be a coaching change, because the coaching staff has consistently failed in these type of situations, and they haven't had these players ready and gotten these guys to execute in these situations, which is why people believe the coaching staff needs to make a change. My team is just too injured to do much again. We'll see. Duvernay and Likely better put on their Superman capes if they have any. But it is what it is. We just need to get to our bye week healthy. We'll be fine. I mean, that's what everyone says, right? We'll be fine. At what point do we call out EDC for malpractice? He's doing exactly what the Ravens want him to do, so I don't know what to tell you. Whatever, man. I think this scheme can work as much as y'all don't. Hey, it hasn't worked in the past, but hey, anything can happen. Anything can happen. If they prove us wrong, hey, ain't nobody got a problem to say anything. But guess what? They haven't proven us wrong. We've given them opportunities to prove us wrong. They haven't proven us wrong. If they prove us wrong, everybody wants this team. Every Ravens fan wants the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. But time and time again, these same issues have been there, and the scheme has not worked out. It hasn't. So you can personally believe it can, and I honest to God hope it works out. But it hasn't in the past. And people have gotten tired of watching this team make the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. Maybe this is the year it finally works out. But if we get to the playoffs and it doesn't work out again, what is going to be your excuse? Are you going to sit back and say, well, next year I think this could work out. We get Bateman back and all these other people got injured. Next year it'll work out. At what point does your patience stop with this? I'm not saying it can't work out. Well, I mean, I'm not saying that it's not possible that it can work out. I'm personally saying it can't work out. Many of us believe it can't work out because we've given it a chance to work out and it hasn't worked out. But if it works out, everybody's going to be happy. And people that were wrong are going to admit they're wrong. If it works out, I've been willing to give them their credit. If it works out, I'm making a video giving them a credit. I'm going to say I'm wrong. I'm not afraid to admit I'm wrong. I'm giving a take here. You can believe what you want, and I can believe what I want. It doesn't take away from our opinions. That's why we're here talking sports. Your opinion can be right or wrong. My opinion can be right or wrong. That's just how it works. So we'll see what happens. That's why they play the games. Maybe it works out. Maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't work out, I would love to hear how you feel about the scheme if it doesn't work out for another year. But everybody else has gotten tired of it. If this scheme that you believe can work out, if it doesn't work out this year, I'm interested to hear. And don't give me they failed to execute, because we've heard that for too many years now. I will say Tylan Wallace is a guy who can be that man beater. He just don't get playing time. Yeah, because they don't really focus on the receivers. Keeping it real, you traded for a linebacker to give an 18 per year instead of your franchise. You're not. He's a quarterback, number one. Number two, what you said was not wrong. Shout out to Josh Hoffman with the donation. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate the love and support. I dig people on Twitter arguing the wide receiver thing. It's just a combo of right player, right price, and just where the chips fell, not because they don't value wide receiver. Where's my thing, Josh? When it comes to this whole situation with the value receiver, I agree. Sometimes it does come down to the right player, right price, because Baltimore, they don't exactly have a lot of space. But at the same time, we've seen them go out and give up draft picks to go get defensive players. Every year we've seen, in 2019, they were willing to go give up that value to go get Marcus Peters. They went out to go get Ngakoue to get those pieces now to get a valuable player. And now they've done it again they've once again done it again with Roquan Smith. My whole thing about saying they don't value the receivers, I'm not saying they're not looking to get receivers, because you're always trying to do that. I think a team's always trying to look to get better. But what I'm saying is they're not willing to do the same thing you see them do with the defensive players. They're not willing to do so. How often have you heard the Ravens willing to give up draft picks to go out and get a receiver? How often have you heard that? They don't hesitate. They don't hesitate. Like I said, they don't hesitate to go out and get utilize those draft picks to go get the defensive player they want. But when it comes to receivers, you don't have that same attitude. And that's where the issue comes in. That's where people want to see that balance. Why are you willing to give up draft picks to go get the defensive player you want, but you're not willing to give up those same draft picks to go get a receiver? That's why we say they don't value the receiver position. And of course they draft receivers because you're spending first round draft picks on receivers. But you're not doing that. The same thing you're willing to do via free agency or via free agency or trade. You're not willing to do that for the offensive players, especially when it comes to receivers. And that's where a lot of fans are having problems with. They'll see you go out and spend a second and a fifth to go get a linebacker, but you won't do the same to go get a receiver. And that's where people look back and say, are you really sure they value the receiving position? And that's why I've said I don't think they value the receiving position. They've never really valued it the way they value defensive players because they play a certain type of football. It doesn't mean like they think receivers are useless, but the way they play football, it doesn't fit with what they do. Why would they go out and get a top-tier receiver if they're a run-first football team? That's how their offense is. They're a heavy set, heavy formation run team that utilizes the tight ends. The receivers aren't really utilized like that. Why would they give $18 million to a wide receiver that's going to be blocking for 60% of the time? Why would they do that? They're not that type of offense that utilizes their receivers like that. So the value for a receiver isn't much for them. There's obviously a pattern. People will say well, we draft them. We do lately, but yeah, they don't spend the money for it. And as for the whole drafting receivers thing, oh, wait, speaking of which, I see my guys here at the lunch break. Hot take. Appreciate you guys stopping by. What's good? They also don't value running back. They don't. Running backs are expendable here as well. So the receivers and running backs, they're expendable in Baltimore. They don't value it like that. But yeah, to all the people that sit back and say, well, yeah, how can you say they don't care about the receiving position? They spent all those first-round picks to get these receivers. Well, here's my thing. Baltimore has had a poor history in drafting and developing receivers. I've said this for like the last couple of days. Go back from 96 when they were first established to where they are right now. Go back and take a look at the receivers that they've drafted. Of those people they've drafted, how many of those receivers actually panned out from them? Now, from the people that actually panned out, how many of those receivers received a second contract? How many of them were actually in Baltimore for 5+ years? Take a look at that, and you'll get a real good answer about how they look at the receiving position. They're not great at drafting receivers. They're not great at developing them either. This has been there historically. So again, it comes back to the value of willing to trade draft pieces to get them. If you're going to come here and draft a receiver and it's not working out, what's the problem with taking that draft pick that you were going to use to get a receiver and utilizing it to go out and get a made man? You've been drafting poorly with these receivers. The ones that have worked out have either asked for a trade, left, or got injury prone. So if you're not doing well in the receiving department, why not take the picks you were going to use for a receiver and instead use that to go get a made man? You're not doing well in drafting and developing these guys. So if you were going to use 2 draft picks to go and draft the receivers, take those 2 draft picks and go for a trade to go get yourself a made man that's already built here and already has the experience and has already proven himself in the league. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. They're willing to do that for a defensive player. They're not willing to do that for a receiver. And that's a big part of why people believe they don't value the receiving position. Because they don't have that same energy for the receiving core that they have for their defenders. And that's kind of just where the issue comes in. Yeah, Torrey Smith. Torrey Smith was our best receiver we ever drafted. He was drafted in 2011. He was gone by 2015. Our second best receiver, arguably, Hollywood Brown, traded after 3 years because he didn't want to be here anymore. Rashod Bateman's now dealing with injuries. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. They haven't been hitting on these guys. If one thing isn't working, as a franchise, shouldn't you try to look for an alternate solution? If we're not hitting on the receiving core, if we're not hitting on them, why not go out and get somebody else? It's because the Ravens don't want to pay them a big contract. Exactly. Because they don't value that position. Why would you pay a receiver $18 million to block 60% of the time? It's not their philosophy, which is why a lot of people want the coaching philosophy to change. That's a big part of why people are saying John Harbaugh's got to go. We got to get an offensive-minded offensive coordinator. We got to get a passing coordinator. We got to get an offensive-minded head coach. People have been saying that because the philosophy around Baltimore of not really utilizing those receivers and not really improving the pass game has been an issue. They're not willing to give $18 million to a receiver because he's not going to be utilized. He's not going to be utilized like that. He's going to be blocking most of the time. I'm not paying that type of money for a guy that's not going to be utilized. He's going to be here blocking 60% of the time. I can give that money to a tight end at a much cheaper price. Why would I spend $18 million for a receiver that's going to be blocking 60% of the time? What is he going to bring to the table? I'm going to give $18 million to a receiver that's going to get 6 targets a game. Not even 6 targets, 5 targets a game. I'm not doing that. And that's what the Ravens are thinking. They're not dumb. They just understand the philosophy that they're choosing to run with. Many of us want that philosophy to change. It's as simple as that. Honestly, it's unfortunate that Bateman's done this season, but has he really done anything besides the first 2 weeks? They haven't really been giving him the ball, and he hasn't really been utilized the way he was in the first 2 weeks. It doesn't seem any different with him playing. Pretty much, I mean, you can say that for any wide receiver. The only reason Devin Duvernay is really making that spark is, yeah, he's producing in the pass game, but guess what? He's also producing in the run game and the return game. He's a playmaker, and Ravens love that. The Ravens love a guy that can help out on special teams and in the run game. So he's going to be utilized. Bateman doesn't help out on the return game. He doesn't help out on the run game. So, yeah, he's not going to get those type of touches that we would want. Will you be streaming Thursday Night Football? No. I think I'm not doing that. I'm not about to see it for 3 hours and talk about the Eagles and the Texans. I ain't finna do that, which is why I'm here streaming right now. So, yeah, I ain't finna do that. It is what it is. Flex Zone, what's going on, guys? How you doing, man? Appreciate y'all stopping by. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. What's going on? We just talking about the Ravens here. We just talking about the Ravens. It is what it is. It's the coaching. It's coaching and philosophy at this point. Lamar not going to be here much longer. We'll see if that ends up being the case. I mean, it's Lamar's decision. Whatever happens is whatever happens. Well, we have to start doing better at drafting because getting a star wide receiver costs a lot of money. And if we pay a quarterback a lot of money, we won't be able to fix other positions. Yeah. We've been saying they have to start drafting at the receiving position for a long time now. They haven't gotten better at it. I mean, is it the personnel you have there? Is it the people at the front office? Did they just not know what they're doing when it comes to drafting receivers? Do our scout teams not know what they're doing? It comes down to that. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you, man. Devin Duvernay is panning out, in my opinion. Absolutely. He is. He's doing well. He's doing exactly what they drafted him to do. He wasn't here just to be a receiver. He was here to also be utilized in the run game. Go look at how he was utilized in college. There's a big reason why we said he should be utilized like Deebo Samuel. There's a big reason why. And the Ravens have finally woken up and started to use him the same way the Niners are using Deebo Samuel. And they're also using him in the return game. So they're getting a guy that's helping out in 3 different aspects. And you got to be glad for that. He's a playmaker for sure. That's why Miles Boykin got cut. Pretty much. I'm not big on wanting a passing game like everyone else. I just want the offense to be more balanced. Yeah, we want the offense. No one is trying to take away the run game. No one's trying to say we got to follow the Bills' philosophy and throw the ball 50 times. We just want, when we're passing the ball, we want to have a scheme that actually utilizes the receivers and puts them in the best position to win. We're not having that with Greg Roman's scheme. So many people have come out and spoken on this. We're not saying you got to change the whole idea of just all of a sudden we start running the ball and we just start passing it 40, 50 times. No one's asking for that. We definitely want a balance. Everybody wants a balance. We're not trying to be the Buffalo Bills. But we're saying the way the passing scheme's happening, when it comes to the play calling in the passing game, in the passing scheme, it's not working out. How many times are we going to see receivers just bumping into each other because that's just how the route is built? That's why we want a coordinator that's more knowledgeable and actually knows how to create passing concepts. Not because we want to change the philosophy from running the ball and passing it in a balance. No, we don't want it to all of a sudden go to 50 passes and like 10 to 15 runs. We don't want that. We want a balance. But we got to have a passing game that's effective. A passing game that puts the receivers in the best position to actually thrive. We don't have that here. You can keep the mindset of being a balanced offense. We all want that. But the passing scheme and the passing game hasn't been where we wanted it to be for the last couple years. And that's why people want the change. We don't want it to change it to being the Buffalo Bills. Hell, Buffalo's not trying to throw the ball 50 times. They want some resemblance of a running game. They really want some resemblance of a running game. And we're not trying to be that. We're not trying to be that. People want us to be like the Chiefs or Bills who pass 50 times. That's not Lamar's style. We don't want them to pass 50 times. I don't know if there's any Ravens fan that's actually said we want them to pass the ball 50 times. No, we want them to be well balanced. But when we do pass, we want a scheme that puts the receivers in the best position. When you're going to choose to throw the football, utilize your receivers. Put them in the best position to win. Put them in the best position to succeed. And we haven't had that over the last couple years. You could still have that balance. But the passing scheme needs to improve, and the play calling when it comes to the passing aspect needs to improve. It hasn't been where we want it to be, which is why people want Greg Roman to go. That's been a huge part of why we want to change. That is why we need to cut the head of a snake. Harbaugh has got to go. I said a few years ago, he has to go because till that happens, the philosophy will stay the same. That's why a lot of people believe he's got to go. I just want a better version of Greg Roman's scheme that involves passing. Well, you're going to need to get a different coordinator if you want that, because Greg Roman's scheme, you can still keep the same aspects that Greg Roman's doing. You can still keep that, but you need somebody else when it comes to the passing. Greg Roman he can't scheme up passing schemes. He cannot call passing plays effectively or nearly as effectively as we want it to be. You can still keep his overall philosophy in the running game, but you need to have somebody that knows what they're doing and can actually be creative in the pass game. Greg Roman's not that, which is why people want him to go. But you can still keep his same ideas. It's not like they have to change anything. We just want them to be able to score in the playoffs. I don't want this losing. That is true. No one wants them to lose these games like the way they are. We just want something different. We just want improvement in the pass game so we can be truly balanced. Look at the Eagles. Right now, that's what we want. Exactly. They're well balanced, and look at their passing game. Look at what they do in the passing game. Look at the creativity they're able to do there. We want something like that. What's interesting is if you do run the ball and play defense style, that used to mean you take all your field goals. That is true. You used to play that style of just dominating and running the clock. It doesn't always mean you score touchdowns. You usually put yourself in the position to kick field goals in situations like that. But yeah, I mean, we just want balance. That's really, for the most part, we just want balance. It feels very futile because if they're going to pay Lamar, they could still mess around and not translate that to Super Bowls by not giving him help. Could very well be the case. If the Ravens don't at least bring in OBJ for a talk, we will definitely know where they stand on the team's future this year. I already told you they're not looking to. I mean, I don't know how many times I got to say this, bro. Odell's not going to be a Raven. Odell is just not going to be a Raven. I guess if they make the attempt, which again, people are already tired of them making the attempt and not getting it done, but Odell's not going to be a Raven. They don't value the receiving position the way Ravens flock want them to. It's just not going to change. That's not their philosophy. Until you get rid of the person that's built that philosophy, aka John Harbaugh, which is why people are calling for his head, until you get rid of that philosophy and change it, nothing's going to change with the receiving core. They don't emphasize it the way you guys want them to. And I'm sorry, that's just the case. They don't emphasize it like that. They just don't. What game has been the most balanced for us this year on offense? Well, let's see. The closest is the Patriots game. The closest is the Patriots game. At least as far as I can think. The closest might be the Patriots game that I think you could put up there. the Patriots game is probably the one that you would look towards. Because they were definitely consistent through 4 quarters, at least for the most part. Maybe at least through 3 quarters, but maybe the Patriots game is probably the closest. You're better at drafting, and truth be told, to make Lamar pay off, they will need less money going in on defense. They need to draft well there, especially if there's not going to be an O-line. Anyway, we'll see. The Eagles have a top 10 pick right now, too. The Eagles have done a fantastic job rebuilding that team and surrounding their young quarterback with pieces to succeed. You streaming the game? Nah, bro, I ain't going to be here for Thursday Night Football. That's kind of why I'm here right now. I am not going to be here for that. T. Martin or Keith Williams for offensive coordinator 2023. If you're going to pick between one of the two, you're going to have to pick T. Martin because he has experience being an offensive coordinator. That's just how it works. To be honest, I'll call freaking Will Fuller. I don't know if that man wants to come out of retirement, but hey, give it a shot, I guess. That man retired for a reason. Even if you get rid of John, who do you replace him with? Sean Payton doesn't want to become a head coach, then what? That's what I've said. A lot of people that said we got to get rid of John Harbaugh, who do you replace him with? If you can give me a Shanahan or a Sean McVay, I'm willing to take that. I'm legitimately willing to take that. But who are you going to replace him with? That's what I've asked a lot of people. I've had several people say John Harbaugh has to go. And I've asked them the question, who are you going to replace him with? And the first person they said was Sean Payton. And I'm like, does Sean Payton want to come to Baltimore? I'll replace him with Flores. I wouldn't mind Flores here. I wouldn't. But I don't know. I don't know if they're willing to go for that. I don't know. I legitimately don't know. But that's something I've asked for a while now. Like, you can't just fire a guy and not have a replacement for that. So that's where I am at the situation. I just don't. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's definitely been frustrating for some people. I don't know. I don't know what the Ravens plan to do. I don't think they're going to change their coaching philosophy. They seem perfectly fine with what's going on with John. So I just don't see a situation where John Harbaugh is no longer the coach. By the way, Will Fuller isn't retired. Didn't he announce his retirement? I swear he announced his retirement. Are you sure Will Fuller isn't retired? Because I'm pretty sure he announced his retirement. I was sure that he chose to retire. I'm pretty sure there was news about that. Let me check that because I've heard. I'm pretty sure that he chose to retire, but let me double check that because I'm pretty sure he's retired. I mean, he probably did announce that. Yeah, he retired. Yeah. Well, at least he's listed as retired. I don't know if that's the case. Did he come out and say he's retired? You know what? I think it's listed that he's retired, but did Will Fuller ever come out and say he's retired? So I'm not sure about that. It is what it is. Like I said, you better find the right offensive-minded head coach, and he better be the next Kyle Shanahan, or we might end up having the next Nathaniel Hackett. That could very well be the case. You don't know how it's going to work. Didn't Harbaugh have a chance to hire Shanahan as offensive coordinator rather than Mark Trestman? I don't know if he did have that chance. And if he did and he screwed that up, that's on him. Because I don't even know why they hired Mark Trestman. Mark Trestman had me pissed. Whatever happened to Des Bryant? Wasn't he with Baltimore last year? No. He was with Baltimore in 2020, and then they released him after that. So, yeah, he played that 2020. They brought him in late in the 2020 season. He played. I guess he was on the field, but after that, he was gone. He was not with the 2021 team, so no, he hasn't been in football since then. But yeah, he was not on the team last year. What do we do on wide receiver now? Well, what we do on wide receiver, we just work with the guys we have because that's what Baltimore wants to do. Odell's not coming to this team, so you got Deshaun Jackson that you added. He's probably going to play. Maybe you see Andy Isabella do something. You still got Duvernay. You still got Prochet. You still got Wallace. You still got Demarcus Robinson. That's just what you're going to work with. It is what it is. Yeah, that's just how it is for the most part. I don't know why I was a fan of Jeremy Maclin. What's going on, Simple? I don't know why I was a fan of Jeremy Maclin. Man, Jeremy Maclin, I swear to God, bro, that was such a miss. Jeremy Maclin he had 2 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks, and everyone's like, oh, Jeremy Maclin might work out. And I swear to God, he proceeded to disappear. Jeremy Maclin was cooked, bro. He was cooked by the time he came to the Ravens, and we didn't see it. Or maybe they did see it and they didn't care. That man had 2 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks of the season, and we were all like, all right, Macklin's going to work out. He proceeded to do little to nothing moving forward. I'm never going to forget. I am never going to forget. I believe it was a primetime game. What was it, Sunday Night Football? I'm never going to forget. We played the Seals, that 39-38 game. We should have won that game because Flacco made a hell of a play to get the ball to Jeremy Maclin, which would have been in Tucker range to kick a game-winning field goal. But this dude, a professional football player who had time to get his feet placed in bounds, he couldn't get his feet placed in bounds. He had time to get himself set, to get his feet set, to try and catch the ball on the sideline. His foot was out of bounds. How do you not know where you are as a receiver? Especially a veteran like him. I'm never going to forgive him for that. That game, bro, I still remember that loss to the Steelers, that 39-38 loss to the Steelers. I remember, like, trying to sleep that night, and I couldn't because I kept thinking to myself, legitimately, that night we lost that 39-38 game because we were up 38 to, like, 27 or something like that, 38 to 26, 38 to 27, and we proceeded to lose that game. We choked it down the stretch, and I just kept thinking to myself, like, legitimately, that night, I kept thinking to myself, why the hell did we keep Brandon Carr and Antonio Brown? Did you not see what the rookie Marlon Humphrey was doing? Did you not see what Marlon Humphrey was doing? Yeah, my leg is definitely feeling better. Appreciate it, man. I legitimately was sitting here saying, why did they continue to put Brandon Carr on Antonio Brown? He kept cooking him. When Humphrey was on him, he was actually keeping up with him. Why did they keep doing that? Bro, how did Jeremy Maclin not know where his feet was? I couldn't sleep that night because I kept going through the scenarios in my head like, how did we lose that game? That hurt me. That hurt me in 2017. That really did hurt me. But it is what it is. I'll sign Will Fuller. He has the best chance for us. He can provide that speed and one-on-one matchup. Yeah, I still don't see the Ravens doing that. I would, but I wouldn't mind giving it a shot at this point. What else do you have? But I don't see them doing that. That's just me. It is what it is. It is what it is, bro. True. Let's be honest. Shanahan probably would have been a head coach quickly. Yeah, he probably would have. He probably would have. It probably would have been a Gary Kubiak situation. Maybe he's here for a year and then he gets a head coaching job somewhere else. So, it would have been like that. He would have one good catch per game of every other game and just silent after that. Yeah, Maclin was, oh, God. I don't even want to think about that. Big Ben threw 500 yards that game. He did. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. The Eagles have great balance, and they have a 1A and 1B at receiver. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They know what they're doing. They're doing a fantastic job. Their rebuild was very quick and efficient, and they got exactly. They went from a rebuild and a transition from Carson Wentz to Jalen Hurts to now being a contender in like 2 years. So fantastic job by the Eagles, man. They did a hell of a job getting that team to where it needs to be. And yeah, Big Ben threw 500 yards in that game. I still remember that. That was terrible. You see Snyder selling the team. I'm not going to speak on it until it actually happens. I have no reason to speak on it. I want this to actually happen before I talk about it. Eagles are lucky they don't have some Nick Foles curse. Hopefully that's not the case. We'll see. We'll see. Remember when every Eagles fan wanted Howie fired? Yeah, they were calling for his head. But, that didn't happen, and I guess they're happy about it now. Who knows? Matt Elam and Bernard Pollard, the most hated Ravens players by Ravens fans, and I don't blame them. Well, Pollard got himself hated because of how much he's gone after the team. And it wasn't even just, it was before Lamar. It wasn't even just like, this whole hatred for the Ravens didn't start with Lamar. It was happening before because years after he was released from the team, that man just kept going at John Harbaugh and the coaching staff. And then he chose, once we got Lamar, he chose to specifically focus on Lamar for his hatred. But it is what it is. But yeah, this is Nothing but pain for the Ravens. Nothing but pain. It's been quite the circumstance we find ourselves in. You know, it's not fun. It's not fun. Losing your number one receiver is not fun at all. It's very frustrating, in fact. You know, it's incredibly frustrating. And, you just, there's nothing we can do, man. There's nothing we can do. I just hope for the best. I just hope for the best for the Ravens, but we'll just have to see how things go down. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But at the same time, what has Bateman done since week 2? Well, we would have to look at how many targets he's gotten. It's not like they really looked to get him involved. In fact, when he was still healthy, we were talking about how the Ravens weren't looking to get him involved. And people like Lamar, you got to look to get Bateman involved a little bit more. Get him the football. But we weren't really doing that. I hope Marcus Williams comes back within week 15. There's a chance I would. We'll see. We'll see. He'll be back before the regular season ends, so that's a good thing. Unfortunately, he's going to miss this game against the Saints, which sucks because, this could have been his chance to go back, to go up against his former team, and unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. So, it is what it is, but, as long as we get him back, we're going to be fine. That's all that matters. As long as we get him back, we're going to be fine. Do you think the Ravens and Steelers are the best rivalry in NFL history? I think they're one of the best rivalries. You could definitely make that case. Even though they've been a rival for the last 20 years, I think you could say they're one of the best rivalries. I don't know if you're going to be able to say they're the best because they don't have that many years compared to the Packers and Bears or Washington and the Cowboys or something like that. It's definitely one of the best, but I don't know if you could say the best. I would put it there. Me just being biased, I would, but you can definitely say it's one of the best. You've never really seen blowout games between the Steelers and the Ravens. Yeah, there's probably a couple. 2014 was a year where we did have blowout games though, because we beat them 26-6. So we beat them by 20, and then they beat us by 20, 43-23 when we faced off against them in Pittsburgh. So then we played them in the playoffs, and it was a 30-17 win on our side. But yeah, we haven't had a lot of blowouts happen in that rivalry, so that's great. With Geno Stone balling, Chuck's probably done after the season. Roquan will be calling the plays. We'll see. I don't know what they're going to do with Chuck Clark. He didn't even expect to be here, and I thought they were going to trade him, but he's still here. So we'll see what happens with Chuck Clark, How can teams like the Bills be that stacked on both offense and defense? Is there some sort of strategy to keep everybody paid? Well, that's called just, going all in on your guys and just investing and trying to win now and not focusing on what the cap is going to be moving forward. A lot of teams are willing to take those risks. They don't care what's going to happen to the cap moving forward. They don't care about what's going to happen future-wise, but when you're going all in, that's happened. So that plays a role. But honestly, for the most part, when it comes to the Bills, they just drafted beautifully. It's really been the drafting. It's been less about actually getting the players and more about drafting. The Bills have done a fantastic job in the draft. They've done a fantastic job drafting, especially defensively. They've done a great job drafting guys defensively, and they've gone out and gotten key pieces. So it's been a nice mix of them. The guys that they've drafted, both offensively and defensively, have just worked out for them. Both Knox and Davis has worked out for them, and then you add a Stephon Diggs to that, and it's just they managed to make it work. So, good on them. They've done a great job drafting, and they've done a great job in bringing in key guys to help them out. So that's a team looking to compete. They know what they're doing. Prayers up for Bateman. If we spread the ball around like we did in Tampa, we should be good, especially with the defense getting healthy. Yeah, we'll be good enough to make the playoffs. We'll be good enough to win the division. We'll probably be good enough to win a playoff game. But past that, not sure. We're really going to have Ojabo, Owe, Houston, Bowser, JPP on the same depth core. It should be interesting. Hopefully they can be effective. Houston's definitely been effective. Odafe always just trying to take that next step to finally getting these sacks because, Houston's still trying to train him and stuff. He's getting there, but it's just he's not finishing. Ojabo, we'll see what he can do. Bowser, he's always productive when he's on the field. And JPP's been nice and it's making some stops. So we'll see. We'll have them all here together and we'll see if they can make an impact. We'll see if they can make a much bigger impact than what they're doing right now because pass rush has been improving in some aspects. We just hope to build off that. They were playing so bad for so long. They've acquired high picks and made good decisions. Yeah, once you got Sean McDermott there and once they got Josh Allen, they started to actually build around the team. And it's worked out. They've started to, they understood the weaknesses they had, especially defensively, and worked towards getting the guys they need. Good part is that Ojabo, JPP, Houston can play defensive end if needed. True, they'll definitely move these guys around. McDonald's is always looking to move around the pieces on the defense, so we'll get different looks and different coverages out there. So we'll probably see these guys be moving around along the front seven. So we'll see what happens there. What happened to the Steelers? I don't know what to tell you. They're kind of in a rebuild, if you want to say that. Oh, you mean the Ravens? What happened to the Ravens? Well, we lost Rashod Bateman. So our number one receiver is out for the rest of the season. That's what's happening with us. That's kind of just what we have to deal with here. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We're just going to have to move forward. It's been a painful time for the Ravens and just losing pieces, but, you know, you just got to do what you got to do. And it's been frustrating in some cases, but you do what you got to do with what you have. What's the most annoying fan base? Like in general, like sports, or are you just talking about football in general? If you're talking about all sports, I'm not even. First of all, I don't even know if you can do. You probably have to go to team sports, honestly. And I don't know. What would be the most annoying fan base? Good chunk of people will say Cowboys fans. Good chunk of people will say Niner fans. Good chunk of sports in general. Probably Boston fans. Just Boston fans. Be it the Patriots, be it the Red Sox, be it the Celtics. Boston fans probably would get that. Especially Red Sox fans. They really talk a lot of trash. Same for the Yankees. I don't like the Yankees. Or the Red Sox. But yeah, I would just say Boston fans in general would probably be the most annoying fan base. And obviously, they're going to be the most annoying fan base because they just win. They just win. So they're going to be the most annoying. You'll say Philadelphia. Well, I mean, them being the worst is different from being the most annoying. You know, that means they're just a terrible franchise. They did boo Santa. No one forgot that. They booed Santa. That's crazy. How pissed do you got to be to boo Santa? Boston, Miami, New York are the most annoying. How did Miami get in this? How did Miami get in this? Like, what you mean Miami? Because as a Heat fan myself, I have to ask, what you mean by Miami being the most annoying? I would like a little bit of a clarification on the Miami part. Because as a Heat fan myself, I would love to get clarification. Like I said, I don't even want a star wide receiver. I just want at least a top 20 or 18 receiver. Yeah, don't see that happening anytime soon. Damn, to this day, I think about all the good receivers we have missed since 19. Yeah, and they're going to continue to miss because they don't know how to properly draft or develop receivers. They're going to continue to miss. That's just how it's been. Maybe one day they hit on a guy, but I don't know if he's ever going to make it here. I just don't know. Just based on the philosophy, I'm not sure myself. I think it has something to do with Dolphins fans always saying they're going to the Super Bowl because they have talent. Dolphins fans have been saying that? When the hell have they been saying that? Going to the Super Bowl because they had talent. When did they start saying that? This season? It has to be this season. Miami Heat fans kind of overrated their players like Matt Strus. Well, it's not. Okay, so we're not overrating our players. We all understand we're not a very talented team. If you're talking about the most annoying part of the Heat of the Miami Heat fan base, you're talking about Heat culture. Okay? You're talking about Heat culture. Nobody gives a damn about Heat culture except Heat fans, and we all know that. So you're probably talking about Heat culture. It's not like we overrate our players. We understand where our players are. We understand we don't have a bunch of superstars walking around. We understand that. But with the way Miami just chooses to play, it's part of that Heat culture. And anytime we bring up Heat culture, people are like, man, just shut up with that Heat culture. Nobody cares about Heat culture except Heat fans. So if you're talking about that aspect, you're probably correct. But Miami fans hype up their team so much for them to lose early. Hold on. We didn't lose early last year. Time out. I mean, just take a look at the last couple years. In the bubble, we got to the finals and lost in 6 games. Then the following year, we were dealing with a lot of things, injuries, COVID, a bunch of things. Our players were never healthy throughout the regular season. Then we get to the playoffs in the first round, we get swept. That was not a good look, but unfortunately, we were not healthy throughout the entire year. Then the following year, we get healthy, and we were one shot away from the NBA Finals. Y'all overhyped and overrate PJ Tucker last year alongside with Duncan Robinson. Well, Duncan Robinson was just a great three-point shooter. First of all, we already knew Duncan Robinson couldn't play defense. One thing, he was there just to shoot threes. He was there just to shoot threes. And by the numbers, he was one of the best three-point shooters in the game. So we never said he was this massive player. Then again, I'll say this. The contract that the Heat gave him, none of the Heat fans were sitting back and saying he deserved that contract. We said that was too much for somebody like him. So the contract we had, we didn't agree with that. Heat Nation did not agree with the contract that man got. So I'll say that. But he was just there to shoot threes. We never saw him. We know he doesn't play defense. And if he's not hitting threes, he's a liability on the court. We've all emphasized that. And as for PJ Tucker, we were talking about his defense because he was the glue that was holding up our defense. But it's not like we were trying to say he was the best defender in the game. I don't think there's any Heat fan that said PJ Tucker was the best defender in the game. But he was the glue that was holding up our defense. And even those guys, go back to Jimmy Butler, he would say that. PJ Tucker was the glue that was holding up our defense. But it's not like we said he was this top tier player. I'm a Clipper fan. I'm mainly a fan of Los Angeles teams, so I might not be able to say much. I mean, yeah, but you're a Clippers fan, so that's a different conversation. If you're a Lakers fan, yeah, you wouldn't be able to say much because Laker fans talk all the time. But a Clippers fan, y'all haven't won, so y'all not really. You're free to say whatever you want. If it's a Clipper fan saying whatever he wants, But then again, I guess at the same time, because you guys have Kawhi and Paul George, and you've talked about going to win a title, but you guys have fallen short. You embarrass yourself in the bubble by blowing a 3-1 lead, and then afterwards you come back and you try to recover. Looks like you're going far, but then Kawhi partially tears his ACL in the second round against the Jazz. 1 minute he's dunking over Derek Favors. The next minute he's out for the rest of the playoffs. You guys still finally break free from the second round talk, and you get to the conference finals. You lose to the Suns in 6 games because you didn't have Kawhi, and then you come back, and then injuries kind of take you guys out, and because of that, you weren't able to make the playoffs. Kawhi did not play last year. Paul George dealt with his whole shoulder situation, so he was out, and ultimately you guys missed the playoffs. And now here you are this season. Kawhi still not playing. He played 1 game, still not playing. Paul George is doing well, and you're trying to hold up. So, yeah, that's kind of what you guys have had since, the Kawhi and PG era has been here. I've seen Heat fans say Jimmy buckets is better than Kawhi. That's what I mainly mean towards Heat fans, too. Well, I mean, whether or not, first of all, we all love Jimmy here. And what fan isn't going to hype up their player when he's playing like that? Because, again, Jimmy is like Kawhi in the same way. He's not as talented as Kawhi, but they're both two-way players. And Jimmy, in the playoffs, will show up. Now, it's not like he was putting up Kawhi numbers. He was close. He was close to putting up Kawhi numbers. This dude nearly averaged 30 in the playoffs while also playing elite defense. So, the reason a lot of people are probably saying he's better than Kawhi is because Jimmy can actually stay healthy for the most part, and Kawhi can't. But we know Kawhi is as a bona fide superstar. He's one of the best players in the game. We saw him lead Toronto to a championship, so we know what Kawhi Leonard can do. And no, Jimmy Butler's not better than Kawhi, but Heat fans are going to get passionate like that, but we're not the only ones. I've seen a lot of people hype up Devin Booker and put him higher than what I've seen Suns fans do that. They've said Devin Booker is like a top 3 shooting guard. I've seen people say that. Not even top 3. They've said he's the best shooting guard. I've seen people say that. But yeah, that's just how it is with some fans. It is what it is. Who you got winning MVP? I'm saying Luka. Luka's definitely one to put into it. Giannis is in the conversation as well, obviously, because he's the best player on the planet. And when you're the best player on the planet, that's just how it's going to be. But Giannis is going to be in the conversation. Luka's playing out of his mind. I think Ja is a big one that's going to be in it. Ja is definitely a big one of the guys that I think could definitely win MVP this year, but we'll see. So I think those are the 3 I could say right now. I guess Jason Tatum, you could kind of throw him into it because he's had a great start to the season, but we'll see. Oh man, yeah, this chair's so freaking squeaky for the most part. Oh god. But yeah, Jimmy Butler. I'll say Jimmy Butler over Devin Booker. At least that's just me personally. But then again, they play 2 different positions, so I don't know about that. But then again, who cares if they play 2 different positions? It is what it is anyway. John Morant is the Joe Burrow of the NBA, annoying fans and being cocky. Well, I mean, football and basketball are 2 different things. I mean, the basketball, you get to control what's happening more than you can in football. Joe Burrow's a quarterback. So Burrow, legitimately, if he has to rely on his receivers. Ja can just go out there and drop 30 a night if he needs to. But I don't know. John Morant being, I guess, because he's young and being cocky. But, I mean, John Morant's, He's a hell of a talented player, and that's just his attitude. That's just how he approaches things. So I'm not gonna get on him for doing that. But some people are. Some people don't like Ja being as cocky and as arrogant as he is. So I could see the comparisons. But you know what? Joe Burrow hasn't been nearly as cocky. You know what? Joe Burrow's been cocky, but it hasn't been out there like that. It's not like Ja. Ja will be out there with his cockiness, but still, Joe Burrow's not like that. He's more silent cocky. Now, Ja plays a unique way of basketball. He's like D Rose, not known for Ja is basically the next step. Ja is basically what we wanted D Rose to, what we thought D Rose would be, like him taking that next step. Like, Ja's still not that 3-point shooter we would want him to be, but he's making the improvements and he's starting to take that next step. We're seeing Ja start to take that next step in terms of shooting the basketball. And he's basically D Rose. He's basically prime D Rose, but if prime D Rose actually got to stay healthy, didn't suffer that season ending, that career-altering injury with the ACL, and is actually making those strides to improve as a shooter. That's what we wanted from D Rose if he never suffered that injury. Ja looks like that. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what Ja can do. Y'all can still win Monday. Oh, we know we can still win Monday. I don't think anyone's saying that the Ravens won't win Monday. Many of us believe we're going to make the playoffs, but past that, we don't know. I still believe we're going to win Monday. I think the Ravens are going to go to 6-3 and head into the bye week. I had us at 6-3 before heading into the bye week. So if they can win this game, the Ravens are going to be exactly where I placed them heading into the bye week. So nothing's really changed. I still think they're going to win on Monday night. Speaking of which, I'm probably going to, after I do in the live stream, I'm going to have to rest a little and then make my preview video for Monday Night Football. Is it me, but quarterback position is overrated? Have a lot of weapons and most quarterbacks will succeed. Like Hurts, for example. I would feel bad if he couldn't play good when he has a top 3 line, good backfield. Well, you can't. It's hard. It's difficult to say the quarterback position is overrated. That's the most important position in football. It's not really overrated. Maybe you could sit back and say the glory that the quarterbacks get is overrated. Yeah, somewhat. You could say that the glory and the credit they get is overrated because whenever they win, it's all about the quarterback. Whenever they lose, everyone starts making excuses, say it's about the team, it's about this, instead of holding the quarterback accountable. It's been like that. And there are people that'll be like, well, if you're going to give the quarterback all the credit, you got to give him all the blame. So it's kind of like that. It's like a weird balance, and all the credit goes to the quarterback when they're successful. But I wouldn't say the quarterback position is overrated because you do need a good quarterback that can be consistent in order to win, you know? Back in the day, you can make an argument like that. If you had an all-time great defense, you can make it there. But I still think like nowadays you need, in this era, it's hard to sit back and say if you can win a Super Bowl without a good quarterback. It's hard to say that. If this was the 80s or the 90s, hell, even the early 2000s, you could still potentially win a Super Bowl without having a great quarterback. But we're in a pass-happy league now where everything is about offense and throwing the football. So you got to have that type of quarterback to make those type of throws. Even if you have the talent there, you got to have that. You look depressed. Bro, I am tired. I'm not depressed. I'm tired. Okay? I'm very tired. You know, I'm feeling good for the most part. I'm feeling good. I'm not depressed. I'm tired because, like, I've been on this live stream for nearly 2 hours. I'm actually hungry because I haven't eaten for much at all this day. I think I had some fruit and, what else did I eat today? Yeah, I gotta go get food after this. Yeah, I haven't eaten much and I'm very tired. I've been here for 2 hours and stuff. So, yeah. I wouldn't say I'm depressed. I'm just tired, man. I'm just really tired. All right. But yeah, I wouldn't. It's difficult to say the quarterback position is overrated. In terms of like saying, in terms of saying, if they have the top weapons or what are you saying? Have a lot of weapons and most quarterbacks will succeed. Yeah, if you have a lot of weapons, most quarterbacks will succeed. But you do need to have a great quarterback in order to win. The Ravens are going to be fine. We're better without Bateman. Honestly, I don't know what to say to that. I legitimately don't know what to say with that. You got it, bro. I don't know what to say with that. A lot of people are saying we're going to be fine. When you mean we're going to be fine, what do you mean by we're going to be fine? We're going to be fine in terms of making the playoffs, or we're going to be fine towards what? What do you mean by we're going to be fine? Because, yeah, without Bateman, we're still going to be fine. We're going to make the playoffs. But past that, what are they going to do? Do you think the Ravens have a chance to make the Super Bowl? Hey, anybody has a chance. Every team that's quote-unquote contending has a chance to make the Super Bowl. As long as you make the playoffs, you have a chance to win the Super Bowl. So, yeah, the Ravens technically have a chance to win the Super Bowl. How likely is it that they win the Super Bowl? Not likely. Not likely. Duvernay might go off versus Lattimore. I'm going to leave that be. I'm going to leave that be. Is Lattimore going to have a bad day? Is he just not going to be... I don't know what to say about that. Is this going to be a bad... Is he just going to have a... Is he having a bad week or something? Is he not going to have enough sleep before the game? What do you mean by that? Like, Duvernay might go off versus Lattimore. Huh? All right, man. I don't know. If you want to say Duvernay might have himself a day, especially in the run game, sure. But against Lattimore, you think he's going to consistently win a matchup against Lattimore? All right, man. You got it. I hope so. I really do. I really do. I truly do. A Saint struggles against mobile quarterbacks, so the Ravens should win. Oh, you were speaking on in terms of winning the game. Oh yeah, I agree with you in terms of winning the game. Absolutely. The Ravens are still going to be fine. They could beat the Saints without having Rashod Bateman. You're absolutely right. The only reason why I would watch football tonight is because of my fantasy team. I mean, most people would. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here to actually see that. Ravens record prediction 12-5. I came into the season saying the Ravens would be 12-5. I'm still sticking with that prediction. I said we would be 6-3 by the bye week, and we would only lose 2 games moving forward. And both those losses would be against a divisional rival. At least I thought that. We're 3-0. We're 2-0, my mistake. We're 2-0 in the division right now. I think we're going to suffer 2 losses in the division. Those will be our only 2 losses moving forward. I have us at 12-5. So that was just me. I haven't changed that. I said we would be 6-3 going into the bye week, and then we would lose 2 games because the schedule is going to get a lot easier for us, and those 2 games will be against divisional rivals. Don't know which ones. I think I said Bengals and Steelers, but we'll see. But either way, I have us at 12-5. So I think we're right in the range to being 12-5. But we'll see. I see Duvernay could be a good wide receiver 1 with time. Who else you think could be a good wide receiver 2 on the team? I don't really see Duvernay as a wide receiver 1. I see him as a playmaker, but I don't see him as a wide receiver 1. He doesn't play like a number 1 receiver. He plays like a playmaker. He's all over the place. He can be utilized in the run game, in the pass game, in the return game. He's a bona fide playmaker, but as a wide receiver 1, I don't really see that. That's just me personally. And who else could you see be a good wide receiver 2 on this team? I have no clue. A lot of people are trying to point to Prochet, but they don't utilize him like that. Deshaun Jackson is legit. He's here to be your he's here to be utilized in the deep passing game. He's not here to be your number 1. He's not here to be your number 1 receiver. He's not here to be your number 2 receiver. He's here to be your downfield threat. So that's just what he's here for. Demarcus Robinson, I guess? I don't know. I really don't know. Duvernay is a speedster. Lattimore isn't really, but Duvernay plays like Julio Jones. Duvernay? No. If anything, his play style is similar to Deebo Samuel, not Julio Jones. And yeah, Duvernay can be a speedster. It doesn't automatically mean he's going to get behind Lattimore consistently. That's not how that works. Lattimore has faced off against top tier guys and has still handled it well. You could be a speedster. It doesn't mean you're automatically going to get behind Lattimore. Oh, Jacoby Jones. I'm like, who? I was about to say, I saw. Oh, you talking about Jacoby? Yeah, you know what? That's an interesting one. If you're talking about Jacoby Jones, my mistake. I'm like Jay Jones. I thought you were talking about an active player right now, not a former player. I thought you were talking about an active player. But yeah, Jacoby Jones, that actually makes a hell of a lot more sense. But Jacoby Jones wasn't nearly as impactful in the receiving position as we would want him to. I mean, he was all time. He was just all time great in the returning game, but the receiving core, he wasn't necessarily the biggest of guys there. He still made plays. Obviously, he made the biggest play in franchise history in that Super Bowl year. But I think that's a good comparison to say Julio Jones. I think that's a good comparison. I would agree with that. I think that's a good comparison. But yeah, if you're talking about in terms of who his game matches right now, it's very similar to Deebo Samuel. Our schedule looks very easy on paper, but with today's NFL, nothing is guaranteed. I mean, yeah, look at the Giants and the Seahawks. No one expected them to be over 500, but they are. I see the Ravens sweeping the Steelers this season. We'll see. We'll see. I have us going 14-3. Reason being is because of the Roquan Smith trade, and that after the bye week, we will get all our guys back on defense healthy, including our man Ojabo, and we should do well. We'll see. I'm not gonna change my pick. I usually don't change my picks, but we'll see how they look. I said coming into the season we'd be 12-5. We'd be 6-3 by the bye week and 12-5 by the end of the season, and I think that's gonna be the case. Hopefully they can win more than 12 games, but I'll stick with my pick for the most part. But both always have big plays as a wide receiver when times needed. That is true. They've had moments like that. I think Duvernay is a better receiver than Jacoby. One can make the argument. Giants are frauds. We'll see. We'll see. Shout out to Gemini. Appreciate the love and support. When will we finally utilize James Prochet? All right, let me tell you when we'll finally. Let me calculate when we'll finally utilize James Prochet. Let's see. Today, let me see. When will we finally utilize James Prochet? Okay, so today is Thursday, November 3rd. Today will technically be week 9 of the NFL season. There's 18 weeks in the season now because we have 17 games. Let me take a look at the calendar. So we play Monday Night Football, so the 7th of November, Monday Night Football against the Saints. After that, we got a bye week, so we won't play until the 20th against the Panthers, I believe. Okay. Yeah, I think they're probably never. Yeah, I'm looking at the calendar. I don't see a specific time when they'll ever be willing to utilize James Prochet the way we want them to. So, unless they're forced to, which... like I said, James Prochet is a body. He's not a guy. He's a body. James Prochet is a body. He's here to just take up a roster spot. And it's not his fault. They just don't utilize him. They don't see him as a guy. They see him as a body. He's just here to take up a roster spot. Occasionally, they'll throw him out there because, they have to rotate these receivers. But, yeah, he just seems like a body. He's not a guy. Tyler Wallace is actually a guy, but a body, nah. Please stream. I'm not doing the Eagles, and I'm not streaming the Eagles and Texans, bro. I'm not doing that. I've been here for 2 hours. I'm not about to go do another 3-hour stream. That ain't gonna happen. 12-5 is great for the NFC, but we play in the AFC. We need more wins. Well, we got to win the division. That's what we need. It's not. We're 12-5. What's probably gonna win you the AFC North this year. So it's not about needing more wins. We're 5-3, and we're 2-0 in the division. The biggest threat to us right now is the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 4-4 and 0-3 in the division. Yeah, if Baltimore plays their cards right, 12 wins is enough to win you this division. It's not like we are gonna be a wild card team. We have the keys to win the division. So that's just it. Winning the AFC North is really what kind of matters in this situation, I guess. So 12-5 is good enough to win you your division in the AFC. Now, how far would you go with that? I don't know. I need us to go into the playoffs hot. Honestly, I feel like Lamar needs that. I would assume we're going to go into I don't know. We'll see. I'll assume we could, but how far will that take us? Do you think the Ravens should develop a new receiver in the draft? They're going to attempt to. So, even if they do, we'll see how that works out. It hasn't worked out in the past, but hey, we'll see what happens. I think Ojabo will improve the pass rush a lot if he comes back. Well, he is technically back. I just don't know when he's going to play. So, if I was to make a guess, I think he's perfectly healthy and he's practicing and he had his first practice, I believe, yesterday. So, his first full practice yesterday. So, he's practicing with the team. He's healthy. He's fine. He already knows the playbook. But I think the Ravens are going to hold off. I think he's going to play after the bye week. I believe we play Carolina on the 20th of November. So that game against Carolina is probably going to be his season debut. I don't think they want to throw him out here on Monday Night Football just yet. So they'll probably wait. They're going to throw out Bowser because he's good to go. But they may wait until it's possible he plays on Monday Night Football. But I think they're going to wait until the Panthers game after the bye week to actually throw out Ojabo. But he's healthy. He's fine. And he's practicing with the team. So I think after the bye, they're going to throw Ojabo out there. So look towards the 20th. It's a shame Prochet has the best hands on the team. He definitely needs more opportunities. Doubt he's going to get them. Not on this team. Ravens winning the AFC North early this season. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, the Bengals are still there. We'll see if they actually do continue to fall off. I don't know. I don't see us being 1 seed, but do you think it's possible to get a 2 seed? It's possible, but I don't see the Ravens getting the 2 seed. I do not see the Ravens getting the 2 seed. Do you think the Ravens should draft a new running back this season? That's actually an interesting question to ask, because I don't know what the future of Gus Edwards is, and J.K. Dobbins does not seem to be I don't know. I'm not gonna say he doesn't. No, I'm not gonna say he's not happy to be here. It just seems like he's not happy with his role. I don't know what they're gonna do at the running back situation, because I'm pretty sure Gus Edwards will be a free agent after this year. So I don't know. Ravens are gonna have to make a lot of moves in the offseason. So it's possible that they do. And again, will Kenyon Drake be here in the long term? I don't know. But I don't know. I legitimately don't know. But that is an interesting question to ask. You think the Packers make the playoffs? The NFC is when it comes to the NFC wildcard race, it's actually still there. So you're asking an interesting question there. I don't know. Give me a second here. But yeah, I think Packers are gonna have a shot, but I don't know. They're legitimately falling off bad, bro. They are falling off bad, and it's not a good look for them. Not a good look for them at all. So, they're in the race for the wild card spot, probably the 7th seed, and I think the Packers could get it. I couldn't see Aaron Rodgers healthy missing the playoffs, but they're gonna need to like step it up big, and they've lost a lot of games they shouldn't have lost. So we'll see what happens. Shout out to Gemini with the donation. Being an Ohio State fan, I hope JK stays in Baltimore. I hope that too, but we'll see what happens. I think the Bills winning the number 1 seed. I believe the Bills will be the number 1 seed too. I believe they'll be number 1 seed too. We're a better road playoff game. We should be good. I mean, not wrong. You're not wrong. So I'd rather be on the road than at home. I've seen Ravens fans wanting to trade away JK and draft Bijan Robinson. I think because JK is talking about, I don't know. He just seems to want more carries or whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into that. You think the Titans just run away with the division? Well, considering the fact that the Colts have kind of seemed to like concede, and with Matt Ryan and said, let's just put in this other dude. Well, who's he, a rookie? They just chose to just bench Matt Ryan. It's very possible. The Jaguars are a huge disappointment, and the Texans weren't going anywhere in the first place. So if the Titans just handle business, they could end up running away with the division. Bills do have the 1 seed, but the 2 seed that's up for grabs. If the Ravens want it, they need to win all their games from here on out. Well, you have to do that, and then you have to beat out the Chiefs, because I believe the Chiefs are going to be in that. The Chiefs are like the 3 seed right now, and the Titans are the 2 seed. So you're going to have to beat out those two. So we'll see. Why you got me doing this while I'm in the middle of my stream? But yeah, if the Ravens want the 2 seed, you're gonna have to beat out both the Chiefs and the Titans. Which, I mean, I think people believe the Titans are gonna fall off at some point. They keep winning games, so we'll see. And the Chiefs are going to be tough to beat out, though. So we'll see what happens with that. But, it is what it is. Chiefs going to beat Bills in the playoffs again? Possibly. I told the Bills, you beat them in the regular season. But don't just think because you beat them in the regular season, you're going to beat them in the playoffs. You have to be on guard. So they better be prepared for a matchup against them. Hopefully, because they beat them and they get the number 1 seed potentially, that matchup could be in Buffalo, which would definitely be in their favor. But we'll see. We'll see. Texans aren't making the playoffs. We could be a number 3 seed only behind Buffalo and KC. That could very well happen. That could very well happen. This Super Bowl trip is easy for any AFC team. I would not say that. I would not say that. Due to Bateman being out for the rest of the season, he is heading into his 3rd year, and then he is eligible to get a 5th-year option or get paid. Do you see Bateman in Baltimore long-term? Nope. How often have receivers been in Baltimore long-term? The best receiver they've ever drafted, Torrey Smith, was not here long-term. He was drafted in 2011. He was gone by 2015. Hollywood Brown was arguably the 2nd best receiver they ever had. After 3 years, he was traded because he wanted to leave after 1. So, yeah. I don't see Bateman here long-term. In the 2023 draft, I want either Jordan Addison or Joey Porter Jr. I would have to look at their film. Titans going to fall off. They haven't beat any good teams. We'll see if they do fall off. Would you rather us go to Arrowhead or Buffalo in January if you had to choose one? Ah, man, that's a hell of a question. That is a hell of a question. Either way, it's going to be a difficult trip. Either way, it's going to be a difficult game. But if I'm gonna have to pick one, I'd rather be on the road in Buffalo. Buffalo hasn't broken free and won that championship yet. Kansas City has. Kansas City has been in 4 AFC championship games. They've broken free twice. So they know what it feels like to go to the Super Bowl and win. Buffalo hasn't done that yet with this unit. So I believe I'd rather go to Buffalo than go to Arrowhead. At least right now. Like, until Buffalo breaks free, I would rather go face off against them than the team in Arrowhead that's been to 4 AFC title games and has gotten to the Super Bowl twice. Once Buffalo breaks free, though, then if they can break free and win a Super Bowl, then I would sit back and be like, okay, yeah. Because Buffalo's already a difficult place to go. Same for Arrowhead, but man, it's tough no matter where you go. It's going to be tough to deal with no matter what you deal with. Do you think the record of the Ravens will change since Bateman is out? No. I think it's going to be the same. I said 12-5. I don't see it changing. Nets what? The Nets suspended Kyrie Irving? Is this true? Is this true? I don't see any report about that. Like, I don't see anything here. Oh, I see it now. Shams just said it. The Nets have suspended Kyrie Irving at least 5 games without pay. It's too late for that, NBA. If you wanted to suspend him early, you should have done it earlier. Now it just seems like you missed out on it, bro. This is being reactive. Nah, if you wanted to suspend him earlier for it, you should have done it earlier. This one just comes off as no one's taking this seriously. And in fact, it just makes you look bad. No one's taking this seriously. If you felt so strongly about it, you should have suspended him earlier. Then again, I guess at some point they felt like they had to punish him for it, but it just seems like it's too late for that. If you felt that strongly, you should have suspended him on the spot. You're being reactive now because you've seen the backlash Kyrie's taken from his stance, and now you feel like you'd have to do that. If you felt that strongly, you should have suspended him from the minute this whole thing became a news story. But, Kyrie's suspended for the next 5 games without pay. It is what it is. I'm not going to talk about the situation here. Certainly not going to get into that. But, Kyrie's suspended for the next 5 games. We'll see what happens with that. This is an example of them being reactive here. Usually the NBA would be proactive while the NFL is reactive. But in the Kyrie situation, they were reactive. They were definitely reactive with this one. But I'm surprised. I did not think he was going to get suspended. But they actually did. That's crazy. Michael Thomas is getting the boot, probably. You ready to have Mike Tomlin his first losing season? I mean, that's probably going to happen before we even face them. They're 2-6. They're 2-6 right now. We're going to get payback on the Bills in the playoffs. We'll see if we face off against them. I don't know. But we'll see. Can the Packers bounce back? They can. They could certainly bounce back, but with their roster, especially with the receiving core, I don't know. It feels like Green Bay is heading towards a downward spiral and is not in a good position. So it's difficult for me to sit back and say, oh, yeah, we got this. They're totally going to get it done. I don't know. Shout out to Sir X Gemini. Appreciate the support. Remember the AFC Central days when our biggest rival, not named Jerome Bettis and the Steelers, was Eddie George and the Tennessee Titans? Good times. I remember that. We played them in 2 playoff games. We beat them in 2000. I believe the other one was in 2003 when they got the best of us. So, yeah, I remember those days. Good times. Did you see Film Red? I have not seen it yet. I plan to go see it soon. Well, I mean, it's not like I'll see it at some point. I plan to see it at some point. But, yeah, I have not seen the film yet. Oi. Packers face Cowboys next. That's a tough game. It is a tough game, but you never know how the Cowboys offense is going to be. So that's me. I don't that's my opinion on that. So I don't know. It could be a tough game, but what the Cowboys defense is going to show up, that's for sure. But what about the Cowboys offense? That's the biggest question. For me, that's the biggest question. Will the Cowboys offense show up in that game? That truly matters. Defense is going to show up, but offense, will they? We'll see. And Kyrie and Kanye speaking facts, free him. I'm not finna talk about that here, big dog. I ain't finna talk about that here. That is not my place. I ain't finna talk about it here. But if you whatever you feel strongly for, hey, voice your opinion, bro. I'm not finna stop anybody from voicing their opinions. Kyrie and Kanye have clearly voiced their opinions, and there have been people that agree with their opinions, people that have not agreed with their opinions, and because of that, there have been certain actions that have taken for it. There's been certain actions that have been a result of whatever they said or whatever stance they took on something. So it is what it is. I'm not going to talk about it here. I'm not going to get too into details with that. That's not what I do on this channel, bro. I'm here for chill vibes. I'm not trying to go into that. I have my own opinion and takes on that, and for the most part, I'm always free when it comes to something, and I'm never going to hold back somebody on their personal opinion. I can have my own opinion on what they got to state, and whenever it comes to situations like this, I like to get the facts for every side before I try to make an assessment. So for me, I'm not going to talk about it here, but Kyrie said what he said. He emphasized the things he was trying to emphasize, because a big part of it was like he was emphasizing that he didn't agree with everything from that film, but there was the parts he was agreeing on is what he was trying to show. I'm not going to get too much into it. Whatever happened is whatever happened. That's just not, I'm not going to get into that. And as for the Kanye situation, man, Kanye, it's been a whole thing with Kanye, so I'm not going to get into that either. Is the Packers receiver core better than ours? No. You can make an argument that that's probably worse than ours. Some will say it's just as bad. Others will say it's worse. Would not really sit back and say the Packers have a great receiving core. The Packers haven't won a game in a month now. That's crazy. They're on a 4-game losing streak, I think. So that's not good. It's a 3-game or a 4-game losing streak. So that's bad. Would Rodgers succeed more with our receivers or Lamar with Packers receivers? That's a weird question. I think Rodgers would probably find some success here, but again, we have young receivers that are trying to prove themselves, and Rodgers hates playing with guys that can't get the job done like that. And considering the fact that our receivers are trying to prove themselves, Rodgers does not have the patience to deal with that. And Lamar, with those receivers over there, not guaranteed to get a lot of success. I don't think it'd probably be about the same production you're getting here with these guys. So I don't think it's going to be a lot of success if you switch roles here. And again, I guess you can sit back and say maybe Rodgers would probably have to say. I don't know. It's tough for me to sit back and say that. I think you're going to get about the same production here. Shout out to Gemini. 2000s was the second booming period for the NFL. Yeah, 2000s was fantastic, man. 2000s football was great. That was the last iteration of like, man, we playing some tough, gritty football. You know, that was back when you could actually hit the quarterback. That was back when you could actually hit somebody. Nowadays, everything's all safe, so it is what it is. I'm not gonna get into that much. It is what it is. But I don't see much of a difference with the even if you switched them, I don't know how much of a difference that would be. You streaming the game? No, I am not streaming the game. Not at all. I thought Packers would get the win on the Giants and Jets. Crazy time now. Yeah, New York football has actually been prominent. That's crazy. That's really crazy to say. New York football has been prominent. Both those teams are over 500 and they're thriving. It's crazy to say, but they're thriving. Gotta give these guys their credit, man. They're doing what they need to do. So credit to them. Keep rocking, New York. Hopefully the Jets and the Giants can find a way to make the playoffs, just help out their fan bases. But we'll see what happens there. Man, I'm tired. 90s and 2000s were peak football. You can make the argument for that. You could certainly make that type of argument, man. I miss watching football in the early 2000s. I miss watching that Ravens defense be dominant, man. Honestly, I think Rodgers would succeed more with our wide receivers because no way LaFleur would not use Duvernay in creative ways along with Wallace and Prochet. He would scheme guys open. Gregory Roman, yeah, he would scheme guys open, but I don't know how much that's. I mean, it'll probably make a bigger impact. But again, Rodgers likes throwing the football to guys that he can trust. And with these guys with these guys dropping passes and sometimes not being able to get open, he would still be frustrated. Though I think they have a better chance to succeed in that system compared with ours. I think I just realized why people want Roman gone now and it's horrible. Oh, gone now and horrible. There's reasons for that, man. There are definitely reasons for that. Playing on that New York turf be killing everybody with them knees and hamstring injuries. Bro, that turf has been terrible. That turf has gotten like 3 of our guys. That turf has gotten 3. Week 1, we lost Fuller. And then like when we faced off against Giants, wasn't it Michael Pierce that we lost? We lost like 3 players. No, it was Marcus Williams that we lost on that turf. Or something. But we've lost players. We've lost players. In the 2 games we've played on that turf, we've lost players. And it's honestly disgusting. And it sucks too. It legitimately sucks. Sometimes I miss that 2011's Ravens season instead of 2012. That team was special. The 2011 Ravens were really a special unit. That was actually a time where we really sat back and said, you know what, this may be the time. They're finally taking that next step. They're finally making the turn. This could be it. You know, we really, really thought we were going to win the Super Bowl that year. And we had a great case to win the Super Bowl. But Lee Evans dropped the pass and Billy Cundiff missed the kick. So it's unfortunate. It is what it is. It sucks, but yeah, that 2011 team was definitely special, man. It was man, we missed an opportunity there. We missed a hell of an opportunity. It's unfortunate, but we missed a hell of an opportunity. Now I'm mad thinking about what a creative offensive mind would do for Lamar in our offense. Bro, we've been saying that for years, bro. We've been saying that for years. Man. We just want to have a creative offensive mind that actually knows how to utilize receivers in Baltimore. We don't have that. We feel like it would do so much for Lamar in the receiving corps, but we don't have that. We've been thinking that for years, man. But unfortunately, we just don't have that here. We would have had 3 Super Bowls if it wasn't for that 2011 AFC Championship loss. Well, see, here's my thing. You can't just assume that automatically we would have won in 2011 and then won in 2012. Nah, I cannot really guarantee that because a huge part of the motivation that 2012 team had was because they lost in a heartbreaking fashion and they wanted to get back there. So that was a big part of the motivation heading into the 2012 season. If we win the Super Bowl that year, it's not guaranteed we win 2012. We went on that historical run because of the motivation of getting back to Foxborough to get to that point and win. So I don't know if we would have won 2012 if we won the Super Bowl in 2011, because the motivation we had to win in 2012 was because of the heartbreaking loss we suffered in 2011, and that's what triggered that historical run. So there's a good chance that doesn't happen. I love the 2011 team, but I knew the 2012 team would right the wrongs. Thank God they did, bro. I'm so happy they did. Yeah, Ray Lewis would have retired. Would Would a repeat? It wouldn't have been a repeat. I don't think it wouldn't have happened. I'm not sure that 2012 team would have done that. That's just me. I don't think the 2012 team would have done that. But yeah, the 2011 team was interesting. Do you have thoughts on Hollywood in Arizona before he got injured? I thought it was being productive. I mean, his production over there in Arizona was similar to what his production here was in Baltimore. I think he had similar numbers to what he had in Baltimore during the first couple of games. I think you look at the production he had before he got injured. It was similar to the production he had here with Lamar last year. So he was thriving over there. He was being productive. Him and Kyler had a nice connection, but I don't think it was anything major. Jacoby Jones was the key. Yeah, he was a key. He was definitely the key to helping. Obviously, he made the biggest play in franchise history, the Mile High Miracle. And then in the Super Bowl, he caught that touchdown and then had that kickoff return for 109 yards. So obviously, he definitely was the key. No question he was the key to winning the Super Bowl. Then again, do they get Jacoby Jones if we win the Super Bowl in 2011? Who knows? I don't know. It's a question, man. So it is what it is. I appreciate the 2012 Super Bowl team even more because it was a historical run. But yeah, Hollywood's production's been pretty much the same in Arizona that it was in. It was pretty much the same production that it was in Baltimore. I think it was the same production, but it was on less targets or less catches because, he was the amount of catches he was getting there is not the amount of catches, or the amount of targets he was getting over there is not the amount of targets he was getting over here. So production is about the same, but he was just doing it on more targets in Arizona because he was that guy. Nick Boyle should be a tight end or O-line coach when he retires. It's possible if he's interested in doing so. I don't see why he wouldn't, but he may attempt to do it. He may definitely attempt to do it, but I'm not sure specifically. I wouldn't mind it though, because he knows how to block. He was the best blocking tight end, so I wouldn't mind if he no longer was a player and also became a coach to help with the blocking. Wouldn't be a bad thing. Thinking about the 2019 Ravens, I think they lost their fire and got rusty. You think if we beat the Titans, you would have liked our chances that year? Everyone believed. It wasn't heading into that game. We all believed we were going to win the game. Now, here's the thing. We all believe we could have won that game, but if we would have won that game, we would have hosted the AFC Championship game in Baltimore against the Kansas City Chiefs. Despite the fact that we were playing well, everybody had that whole situation was like, we're playing well right now, but are we going to be able to beat the Chiefs? That was where the fear was coming from. We believed we were going to get to the AFC Championship game, no problem. But getting past the Chiefs, even if it was in our house, there was some concerns. Now, there was a good chunk of belief. A lot of us believe, even though we were concerned, a lot of us believe we could still beat the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl, especially if it was going to be in our house instead of Arrowhead. But there were some concerns like, man, if we take care of business against the Titans, it's most likely going to be Kansas City and Baltimore for the AFC Championship game. Can we beat Patrick Mahomes and this team? We've had opportunities, but we weren't able to beat them. So there was some concerns there, but man, we weren't fully sure. So, with 2019, it was what it was, but, we still had concerns about Kansas City, and we weren't 100% sure we can get past them, but we did have hope because we would have been at home. You think we beat the Titans, you would have liked our chances that year? I really would have liked our chances. I liked our chances heading into the playoffs because I thought we were beating the Titans. I liked our chances, but unfortunately, losing to the Titans was the end of our magical year, so it sucked. Does FedEx have the worst field in history? FedEx is just a terrible place all around. It's just a terrible, terrible stadium that's broken down, which is unfortunate because, a lot of people, we don't deserve to deal with that. I wish we invested in Lamar way earlier. Probably should have, but, they chose not to. You watch 410 Sports? I do occasionally catch their show, but, they do some quality stuff over there. I like those guys. When Devin Duvernay retires, do you think he will dethrone Jermaine Lewis as the best return specialist in Ravens history? No. He has a shot, I guess, but you're going to have to get past what Jacoby Jones did, and I don't think that's going to happen. It's always that divisional round problem with the Ravens instead of AFC Championship game. Yep, let's see. 2009, lost in the divisional round. 2010, lost in the divisional round. 2011, went into the AFC Championship game, lost. 2012, made it to the Super Bowl, won. 2014, made it to the divisional round, lost. 2018, we lost in the wild card round. 2019, we lost in the divisional round. And in 2020, we lost in the divisional round. So, yes, it's been very consistent with the divisional round. Crazy that Hurts could have had a season-ending injury if those fans fell on him in the video. He is like a few inches away from where everyone fell. That was unfortunate that fans had to fall. And I'm glad that, Hurts didn't get hurt. And I wish the best for the people that did fall there. It was terrible. I'm calling an upset. Titans over Eagles. That would be amazing if that happens. That would be a hell of a moment, but I think, Thursday Night Football is either a terrible game or a blowout. We're due for a blowout. The Eagles about to destroy these guys. The Eagles legitimately about to destroy these guys. I don't see the Texans having a shot in hell. But guess what? It's any given Sunday, so the Texans have an opportunity here. Go out and shock the... Ow, my throat. Go out and shock the world. I'm starting to lose my voice, man. I have to go eat something. But go out and shock the world, Texans. Speaking of that, I guess the game is about to get started. This year is the worst year for NFL bettors. Game's about to get started, so I'm probably gonna get ready to head on out of here. Quick wrap up here. More pain for the Ravens. Losing Rashod Bateman for the year means you're losing out on your number one receiver, your number one guy. It's unfortunate, but the Ravens are going to continue to move forward. We're going to keep on trucking. And at this point, as a fan, you just hope for the best. The Texans really trust David Mills as a starting quarterback because that is ridiculous. I thought they were going to have a new quarterback for the season. It is what it is. I don't know if they trust him. They were just throwing anyone out there. Don't worry, bro. Deshaun Jackson, revitalization. Oh, he's going to get it going, bro. Yeah, he's going 90 catches for 1,300 yards. You know it's not going to happen. You know that's not going to happen. Good stream. See ya on streams. See ya on Saint Stream on Monday. I might stream before then. We'll see. But, if not, I'll probably see you on Monday. You may see me on Sunday Night Football, though. But we'll see. Anyway, yeah. Rashod Bateman, gone for the season. You still have Deshaun Jackson that you now signed. We'll see how far that goes. Andy Isabella's on this team. You'll see how far that goes. Nathan, Odell is not coming to Baltimore. Don't even get your hopes up. He's not coming to Baltimore. Don't do that to yourself. He's not coming to Baltimore. Thank God we don't have to see the Broncos on primetime. True. But yeah, Odell's not coming to Baltimore. But yeah, we still have Deshaun Jackson. We'll see how far that takes us. You have Andy Isabella that you brought in. We'll see if he ends up doing anything. And of course, you got other guys that are going to have to step up. Devin Duvernay is now your number one receiver. We'll see what happens with that. Demarcus Robinson, he's going to be utilized more. James Prochet, Tyler Wallace, they're going to have to be utilized more. We'll just see what happens with this receiving core because Baltimore has chosen to not really invest in it the way we want them to. These are the guys we're going to have moving forward. So it is what it is. Unfortunately, that's just where we are. Anyway, the game is getting started, so I'm going to end this here. I am very tired, bro. I am very, very tired. So I'm going to end this stream here. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Don't know the next time I'm going to stream. I'm probably going to stream Sunday Night Football. What is Sunday Night Football? Let me check. Before I head on out here. What is Sunday Night Football? Because I know we have week 9 coming up here. So, Sunday Night Football. Oh, Titans and Chiefs. I'll probably live stream that. Titans and Chiefs. RK9, Ravens Nation. Showing love and support. Yeah, Tennessee versus Chiefs. Yeah. So, I'll probably live stream that. Peace out, Emilio. I'll probably live stream Sunday Night Football, but if there's any other stream between now and Sunday, maybe you'll see. I don't know. I might stream again tomorrow. I might stream on Saturday. We'll see. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna head on out of here. For anyone that's gonna watch the game, enjoy it. I might make a recap of Thursday Night Football depending on how it goes. If the Texans actually pull off the upset, I'm definitely gonna talk about it. But yeah, I appreciate you guys stopping by. I ain't got nothing left to say. Ravens, we'll see how far this receiving core takes you. And yeah, with that being said, that is all I've got. And I'm out of here, man.